A question hangs in the purple, ornate darkness. Who is the Princess of Black Flare? Beyond a glowing gate lies a dark, thorny path, hinting at a treacherous domain. A solemn girl with short, dark hair stands under an intricate black umbrella, her face cast in shadow. Grr. Two ferocious black panthers with glowing red eyes snarl, ready to attack. The girl with the black umbrella faces the beasts, a blur of purple energy marking her first strike. A clean, sharp line of violet light slices through the air with deadly speed. Unfazed by the growing horde of red-eyed beasts, the girl calmly assesses her opponents. A powerful burst of destructive purple energy erupts from an unseen source. She leaps gracefully from above, aiming her deadly umbrella straight at a monster's head. A faint, confident smirk appears on her face as she descends upon her prey. The panther is completely engulfed in a blinding explosion of violet power. She lands with precision and grace, the ground cracking from the force of her attack. She gazes downward, her expression cold and unreadable after dispatching the creature. Dark, chaotic energy begins to swirl around her elegant umbrella. Twisting through the air, she unleashes a vortex of power from her umbrella, ensnaring the beasts. A devastating beam of light strikes down, obliterating another panther instantly. The remaining creatures recoil in terror from the overwhelming wave of her power. Her umbrella transforms, unsheathing a wicked, glowing blade swirling with dark magic. A final concussive blast of purple energy signals the end of the fight. The battle is over. She stands alone on the desolate field, surrounded by purple butterflies. A warning is issued. If you should ever encounter this dark-haired princess, pray you can outrun her devastating black flare. The scene shifts to a ruined city, where a dark-haired youth runs desperately, calling for their mom. The youth's face is a mask of terror as they continue their desperate, pleading cries. Finding a payphone, the youth calls their mom, who sounds rushed, but the youth is just happy to hear her voice. Overjoyed, the youth excitedly tells their mom they were accepted into college. The line suddenly crackles and dies, and the youth, Eunha, frantically asks what's wrong. A blood-curdling scream echoes from the receiver before it falls silent. She's okay, right? Yuna's thoughts spiral in absolute panic, begging for her mom to be safe. Yunha stands frozen in the rubble, panting in shock and disbelief. Collapsing to her knees, she discovers her mother's body crushed beneath fallen debris. Nearby, an injured man frantically tells a police officer about a monster, a cicada larger than a bus. It all began one day with a bolt of red lightning, heralding the arrival of mysterious gates across the world. From these gates, terrifying monsters poured forth, plunging the world into chaos as armies fell. At a mass funeral, Yunha's relatives argue, refusing to take her in and abandoning the orphan. The small, grieving girl huddles alone as her family's selfish arguments rage around her. Now alone, Yunha's only shelter is a small tent pitched on a desolate rooftop. She eats a meager meal from a tray, trying to convince herself that she will be fine. A treasured memory of her mother's comfort surfaces, but she dismisses it as just a dream. Her resolve breaks as tears splash onto her food, and she whispers for her mother. Overwhelmed by grief, Yunha finally breaks down, sobbing uncontrollably. Hiccuping from her sobs, she notices a glowing, ethereal blue butterfly fluttering inside her tent. She watches in fear and awe as the strange butterfly lands on her tray. Reaching out to it, a blue system window materializes, identifying her as Cha Yunha before a ding signals a surge of power. Her hand is suddenly wreathed in crackling, untamed blue energy. Yunha is engulfed in an orange blaze as a system window announces her flame ability is active, alerting a nearby soldier. The soldier radios for backup, reporting a newly awakened individual has appeared in Tent 2. The scene flashes back to a bright, clear day in the summer of 1998. A military transport truck drives down a quiet, sunlit road. A thoughtful young man with blonde hair sits quietly in the back of the truck, lost in thought. The flashback continues as the young man recalls a firm, definitive no from someone unseen. Back in the present, a solemn Yunha, now in military attire, looks off into the distance. The atmosphere between the blonde youth and Yunha is depicted as comically awkward. A purple-haired comrade bursts out laughing, teasing the blonde youth, calling him Li Jun for what they assume was a clumsy pickup line, while the youth flushes in embarrassment and denies it. Flustered, the blonde youth tries to apologize to Yoonha for his squad mate's teasing, stammering awkwardly. He reflects on his past, recalling that he first met Yoonha not long after he awakened. The scene flashes back to a military base where a commander bellows for the soldiers to fall in. The commander introduces the newly enlisted awakened, Cha Inha, instructing the squad to operate as a team. A stoic Yoonha formally introduces herself, stating she looks forward to working with them. The squad reacts with a mix of excitement and bickering. The purple-haired soldier is thrilled to have a girl, another warns him to behave, and a soldier with glasses complains about being drafted despite being an awakened. The blonde youth's monologue continues. He felt useless after awakening, but remembers Yoonha was the first person to show him kindness. He thinks about how precious a friend Yoonha is to him, even though she keeps getting his name wrong. Returning to the present, Yoonha asks the blonde youth if he has formed a contract with the divine beast. He says no, but compliments her, saying her strength would perfectly suit a dragon, as they pass a sign for Gyeongju. He shyly asks Yoonha if she is from the US. He clarifies that his father is American, making him mixed race, and panics internally as Yoonha's prolonged stare makes him nervous. Yoonha casually notes his blonde hair, causing him to inwardly despair that she's only just noticed after all their time training together. He asks if she knows of San Francisco, and she quietly reveals her dream was to become a pet groomer there. Surprised, he starts to say it suits her but stops himself, realizing the painful implications of her lost dream. Yoonha acknowledges they are all in the same difficult situation, admitting her comment was thoughtless. She reassures him not to worry, saying he just reminded her of something. He nervously offers her a chance to fulfill her dream, asking if she would groom his family's gentle bichon frise. As they pass a welcome to Gyeongju sign, he frets over making things awkward, but Yoonha surprises him by happily accepting. For the first time, a small, genuine smile graces Yoonha's face. He excitedly tells her the dog's name is William, while their squad mates tease them about their teen drama and urge them to focus on the gate ahead. Suddenly, an urgent shout of "Baeki-jun!" breaks his reverie, startling him. Yoonha snaps him back to reality, asking if he's ready for the mission as he hastily apologizes for spacing out. 3 years have passed since that promise, and the squad marches onward, now seasoned veterans. The narration reflects that 3 grueling years of hardship have only forged them into a stronger unit. The focus shifts to Yoonha, who has grown and matured alongside her team. The purple-haired soldier questions Baekjun's heavy pack for a C-rank gate, but Baekjun insists on being over-prepared. Yoonha smiles approvingly, complimenting his cautious nature, which makes Baekjun blush as the narrator notes she smiles more often now. As squad leader, Yoonha gives a final briefing, reminding them to stay sharp as they prepare to enter the gate. The squad members cheerfully discuss their post-mission plans, dreaming of graduation ceremonies and exams. Baekjun turns to Yoonha, a look of quiet determination on his face. He calls out to her, correcting himself from Yoonha to the more formal squad leader. She turns to him, asking what he wants as he hesitates to speak. Baekjun nervously asks Yoonha if she still remembers the promise they made. When she asks which promise, he stammers, reminding her about her offer to groom his dog, William. He nervously explains his dad is bringing the dog to Korea and invites her over, panicking internally before she calmly agrees, saying, "I'd love to." She asks if the dog, William, bites, and Baekjun assures her he's gentle. A radiant smile lights up Yoonha's face as she says she's looking forward to it. A system window appears, announcing the gate activation is in progress and will open in 30 seconds. An order rings out to prepare for activation, and a blushing Baekjun responds with an enthusiastic, "Yes, sir." A teammate asks Baekjun what he's doing as the world around them begins to distort. The squad is pulled into the gate's vortex, and Yoonha urgently calls for Baekjun to hurry. They believe the C-rank gate would be an easy clear for their elite team of 11. The mission immediately goes wrong, as a monstrous paw and a corrupted hand appear near blood-soaked documents. They find themselves ambushed and surrounded by a horde of vicious, red-eyed panthers, a scenario far worse than they ever expected. GRRRK. Yoonha's order to stay calm is cut short as Kazik, a panther sinks its teeth into a squadmate right before her eyes. Thud. Splat. The glasses of a fallen squadmate hit the ground, covered in blood. The soldier who complained about the draft stares in horror at the broken glasses, crying out his friend's name, Gyu-chan, the purple-haired soldier, Jae-seong, clenches his fist in rage, vowing to kill them all, as a voice urgently warns him not to provoke the monsters. Ignoring the warning, Jae-seong screams a furious challenge, and the red eye of a panther glints menacingly. Crunch! The battlefield descends into a bloody massacre, as a narration reveals 9 squad members were killed in an instant, leaving Baek Lee-jun horrified. The survivors' thoughts spiral into despair, realizing they are trapped in a C-rank gate with impossibly strong monsters they cannot defeat alone. As Baek Lee-jun desperately tries to think of a plan to survive, Yoonha's voice snaps him out of his panic. Baek Lee-jun stammers an apology for spacing out, but Yoonha interrupts, directing his attention to something she has spotted. Both Baek Lee-jun and Yoonha stare in wide-eyed shock at their discovery. A glowing blue gate has inexplicably appeared, and they realize this is their one and only chance to escape. Yoonha cautiously proposes they move slowly toward the gate to avoid provoking the resting panthers, and a nervous Baek Lee-jun agrees. As they sneak past, Yoonha glances back, a sense of deep unease telling her that something is wrong. She silently wonders why the gate opened so suddenly, suspecting an unknown and dangerous condition is at play. Approaching the glowing portal, she questions its sudden appearance, noting that it has no response. She realizes with a chill that the gate, once active, has now shut down as they near it. Baek Lee-jun voices a horrifying possibility. What if the gate will only allow one person to pass through? Just as Yoonha hopes he is wrong, a system window announces the gate has been activated. As the gate's light envelops Yoonha, Baek Lee-jun realizes with dawning horror that one of them must be left behind as a sacrifice. Tears well up in Baek Lee-jun's eyes as the terrible truth of their situation sinks in. Yoonha pushes Baek Lee-jun forward, telling him to leave his pack behind so she can use its supplies to hold out longer. Baek Lee-jun pleads with her to stop, desperately screaming for her to escape with him, but she resolves to stay, thinking she has nowhere to return to. Yoonha calmly tells a crying Baek Lee-jun to think rationally, reminding him that he has a family to live for while she has nothing. Baek Lee-jun is paralyzed by grief and despair, his face a mask of utter heartbreak. He begs her to stop, but Yoonha remains resolute, her decision made. "I can't leave you behind," Baek Lee-jun screams, fighting back as Yoonha shoves him into the portal's light. Igniting her flammability, Yoonha blasts Baek Lee-jun with a powerful force, pushing him out of the gate. As Baek Lee-jun is ejected, system windows announce the gate's activation and impending closure. Through the closing portal, Yoonha warns him it's about to get hot as he screams her name, begging her to stop while a countdown begins. Baek Lee-jun reaches a desperate hand toward the portal, screaming Yoonha's name one last time as she turns away with a sad, final smile. Lying broken in the pouring rain, Baek Lee-jun is safely outside the gate, weeping for the friend he lost. A narration explains the origin of the dungeons, an unexplained phenomenon that began unleashing monsters upon the world in 1997. The world fought back with a new kind of soldier. Awakened individuals with special powers, soon known as hunters. Governments worldwide, including South Korea's, began officially recruiting and managing these hunters to combat the unprecedented threat. The standard method for clearing a gate is explained. Kill monsters until the boss appears, then destroy its core. Back in the gate, Yoonha stands over slain monsters as a system window confirms all have been exterminated. The system announces the boss monster is appearing, but an immediate warning follows. An unknown error has occurred. To her horror, a new message appears, resetting the gate as she walks through the field of her fallen enemies. The gate resets, summoning a powerful new tiger to attack her as she sighs. Here we go again, trapped in an endless loop where the boss never appears. With grim resolve, she accepts her fate, realizing she is hopelessly trapped inside the malfunctioning gate. She looks down at a TOEIC English practice book, a relic of a life now lost. She sadly recalls the personal mementos of her fallen comrades, a photo, sunscreen, a charm, reminders of the people they were. She admits she will never get used to collecting the belongings of the dead, grimly accepting how long she has been trapped. Huddled by a fire, she reveals she has lost count of the days and now eats monster corpses to survive, having grown used to the sickening task. Sorting through her meager supplies, she finds only hardtack and bandages, considering herself lucky to have even that. After gathering everything of value, she prepares herself for the inevitable next battle. She opens a first aid kit she salvaged from Baek Lee-jun's pack and stares at it, lost in a moment of reflection. Her moment is cut short as the system announces the gate has reset and a red-eyed tiger is tracking her, making her sigh in annoyance. As the newly summoned tiger finds her among the bones of its predecessors, she stands to face it, simply saying, "Hey." A powerful, fiery aura explodes around her as she challenges the beasts, telling them to come at her all at once. The tiger lunges forward, and Yunha prepares to meet its attack, ready for yet another cycle of the endless battle. Roar! With a burst of fiery power, Yunha incinerates the attacking tigers. She stands over the smoldering corpses of 2 panthers, calmly counting her kills. 1, 2. Realizing one of the 3 panthers escaped, she scans the desolate landscape and finally spots it in the distance, thinking, "Found you." Later, while butchering the corpses, she muses that monsters are becoming easier to handle, and her level must have increased, deciding to hunt the last one later. The narration states that harvesting monster meat for survival had become just another typical day for her. Her face smeared with blood, Yunha stares blankly, caught in the endless, grim cycle of reset, battle, and gathering. Suddenly, her routine is shattered by a series of urgent system warnings announcing a massive disturbance. A level 68 mutated red-eyed black tiger has appeared. The system confirms the powerful new tiger has found her, and Yunha realizes with dread that today is different. She reels in shock, realizing a level 68 mutation means this is no ordinary monster. A terrifying, multi-eyed tiger with crystalline spikes glares down at her, radiating immense power. Her hand clenches as she understands she's facing an elite, sub-boss class monster. A spark of hope ignites within her. This new powerful monster might be her one and only chance to finally escape the gate. Doubt creeps in as she worries about her depleted mana and questions if she can truly defeat a level 68 beast. With grim determination, she decides she has no choice but to face it head-on. Roar! The monster lunges with blinding speed, sending a shockwave that throws Yunha back as she screams in pain. The ground shatters from the sheer force of the monster's devastating impact. Blown away by a casual swing, she realizes a direct hit would be fatal and knows she must end this fight quickly before her mana runs out. Gathering her remaining power, she resolves to end this now and prepares for a final decisive clash. Yunha unleashes a massive orb of concentrated fire, pouring all her remaining energy into one desperate attack. The fiery blast surges forward, aimed directly at the monstrous tiger. Her ultimate attack engulfs the beast in a blinding explosion of pure energy. A massive fiery detonation rocks the entire battlefield. Her mana depleted, Yunha watches in horror as the monster emerges from her most powerful attack, completely unscathed. The immense power of her attack explodes across the landscape. Coughing up blood, Yunha collapses to the ground, grievously wounded from the recoil and exhaustion. She stares in utter disbelief, realizing her all-out effort was completely wasted against the seemingly invincible creature. Bloodied and broken, she looks on with empty eyes, despair etched across her face. As the tiger roars, she spots a flicker of hope, a wound inside its massive, open mouth. The monster lunges forward to deliver the final blow. She is caught and lifted into the air, held tightly in the creature's powerful jaws. With a smirk, she taunts the beast, asking if she tastes good while secretly channeling fire into her hand. "Eat as much as you can," she warns, "because you won't be eating for a while," as she begins a countdown. 1. Her countdown continues. 2, 3, as the light in her hand intensifies, ready to detonate. She unleashes a final, desperate explosion from inside the monster's mouth. With a final command of fire, she detonates her power in a cataclysmic blast. The monster's head is completely obliterated in a gory explosion. Having sacrificed her arm to win, Yunha falls from the sky amidst the flames of her victory. Lying broken on the ground, she struggles to speak, her body battered and bleeding. As she lies on the verge of death, system windows announce an update is in progress, loading a new reality. The focus shifts to the simple, woven bracelet on her wrist, a fragile memento from another life. Yunha lies motionless in a pool of her own blood, her battle finally over. In her fading consciousness, a vision of her mother appears, surrounded by a soft, warm light. Mom Yunha's eyes snap open as the vision floods her mind, even as she lies dying on the cold ground. A memory surfaces of her younger self, proudly presenting a handmade bracelet to her mother. In the flashback, a young, cheerful Yunha shows off her creation, and her mother looks down with loving surprise. Young Yunha explains the bracelet grants wishes and asks to tie it on her mother, who happily asks what she should wish for. The memory brings a fresh wave of pain as she clenches her jaw, reality crashing back in. She remembers Baek Yi-jun's wish to sacrifice himself for her, his gentle face appearing in her thoughts. Jolted back to the present, Yuna struggles to her knees, clutching her bleeding arm in agony. A new fire ignites within her as she realizes she still has something to live for, refusing to let her years of endurance be for nothing. "I absolutely won't die like this," she roars, erupting with a final desperate surge of power. A massive shockwave of pure energy blasts outward from her. She pours every last ounce of her will into the blast, her face a mask of determination. "Arg!" Her desperate scream echoes through the desolate landscape. Gasping for breath, Yunha clutches her bloodied stump, the recoil of her power leaving her weak. As she collapses, system windows announce her reward, the elegant parasol of the Dark Flare Princess. What does she think, utterly bewildered by the strange reward? Lying wounded on the ground, she questions what this bizarre item could possibly be. Suddenly, the parasol materializes, attached to her arm and glowing with an ominous purple energy. Elsewhere, a young man with light brown hair sits in stunned silence. A slow, pained realization dawns on him. A woman's voice calls out, "Li Jun! Li Jun!" pulling the dazed young man back to reality. "It's almost time to board," the woman urges, but Li Jun's mind is elsewhere, echoing an airport announcement. An announcement for a flight to San Francisco echoes through the terminal, instructing passengers to board. The destination sparks a painful memory of Yunha's university plans, and he grimaces in self-reproach. The simple question of which airport gate to go to sends a jolt of trauma through him. "It's gate 21, right up ahead," the woman says cheerfully, before noticing Li Jun has frozen in place. "What's wrong with you?" she cries as he collapses, overcome by the gut-wrenching memory. I left her behind," he screams, his guilt erupting as the woman pleads for him to calm down. As someone asks if he's okay, Li Jun lets out a horrifying scream. A soldier approaches, and the woman quickly lies, claiming her child is just afraid of soldiers. In a memory, his mother begs him to pause his hunter career, promising safety in America where his father, a soon-to-be colonel, awaits. The plane takes off, carrying a broken Li Jun away from his home and his grief. Meanwhile, back in the desolate gate, Yunha lies unmoving in a pool of her own blood. Suddenly, a pair of glowing, feline eyes peers out from the darkness, radiating a mystical purple energy. A system window identifies the observer, sacred beast cat wandering in darkness. A spark of golden light touches Yuna, and she stirs faintly. A warm, golden light envelops her as the system announces the sacred beast is healing her wounds. Her eyes flutter open in confusion, a flicker of awareness returning. Realizing she's still in the cold gate, her ingrained survival instinct kicks in. She must prepare for the next reset. Ugh, a sharp pain shoots through her as she tries to move. Noticing her severed arm, she calmly assesses her missing arm, noting that, despite the blood loss, her condition feels surprisingly stable. She looks down in shock to find her arm stump perfectly sealed, prompting a confused, "Huh." Recalling the reward notification, she looks at the parasol and wonders if this is what she received. She picks up the ornate parasol, studying its intricate design. Block sunlight with this, she thinks wryly, deciding to keep the seemingly useless item since it was a hard-won prize. She realizes that even after defeating the sub-boss, the gate remains closed, meaning her ordeal's far from over. Just as she finds hope in this new development, a system window announces it's connecting to a new channel. This could be her escape. Clutching the parasol, her eyes widen with a desperate, burgeoning hope. An unexpectedly cheerful window pops up, a self-proclaimed cutest cat in the universe offering her a contract. Stunned, she stares at the message, trying to process the words. A sacred beast? Her eyes narrow as she recalls Li Jun once telling her about the legendary 12 sacred beasts. She remembers the lore, 12 divine animals who can grant their power to a contracted human, their chosen avatar. An avatar can even borrow the beast's form or achieve a full embodiment of its power. The revelation of this cosmic power hangs in the air, a turning point in her fate. She considers the offer. A contract would make survival easier, but she remains hesitant. "Hey, self-proclaimed sacred beast," she says to the window, "I have a question." Suddenly, Her severed arm begins to glow with an intense golden light. "Did you stop the bleeding?" she asks, and the cat-faced window smugly confirms its power. "That depends on how you act," she begins, but a sudden, violent crack startles her. Grrr. A new threat emerges as a level 30 red-eyed black tiger appears, its gaze locked on her. Yuna recognizes the creature with a start, realizing it's the same tiger that escaped from her before. Roar! The system announces the tiger is now enraged, its attack power massively increased as it prepares a final counterattack. The enraged tiger lunges, unleashing a furious strike that tears through the air. KGH. She's thrown backward by the force, lamenting that she could have easily handled it if she were at full strength. As the tiger glares, she thinks about her depleted magic and missing arm, realizing she's in a dire situation. Doubt fills her as she admits to herself that in her current, weakened state, there's no guarantee she can win. The cat's voice interjects through a system window, offering to lend its authority. She dismisses it as a scam, but the cat counters, asking if she would rather just die with nothing to lose. "Damn it," she yells in desperation, warning the cat that if this is a trick, she'll haunt it even after death. With a final, determined scream, she accepts the offer. "Cat, lend me your authority." As the system identifies her as Cha Yunha, the fearsome tiger closes in for the kill. A system window suddenly announces that part of her damaged body is being restored. A close-up reveals a powerful, glowing feline eye filled with fiery energy. A flash of golden light radiates outward, signaling a surge of new power. System notifications confirm her body's restoration is complete, her abilities are greatly increased, and the cat's authority has been bestowed upon her. Enveloped in a brilliant golden aura, Yuna stands reborn and ready. She looks down at her glowing hand, realizing with shock that her severed right arm has been restored. It's back, she thinks, staring at her newly regenerated hand in utter disbelief. She gratefully acknowledges the cat wasn't a scammer and thanks it for saving her life. The cat's voice explains this is just the beginning. This is an unknown gate that requires more than just killing monsters to escape. Yuna is baffled, questioning the term unknown gate since she thought they had entered a normal C rank 1. The cat cheekily explains that the discrepancy is exactly why the gate is mysterious, leaving her to wonder what it all means. She ponders the new information, realizing that if the cat is telling the truth, her entire understanding of gates is wrong. Yunha directly asks the cat how she's supposed to get out if the normal methods won't work. Looking at her parasol, now glowing with dark energy, she realizes it might not be useless after all as she thinks. 4 items remaining. Seeing the tiger's reflection in her eyes, she admits her survival isn't guaranteed, prompting the cat to remind her that a contract would grant her immense power. She looks up, her expression turning serious as she considers the offer. Realizing such power isn't free, she asks for the conditions. The cat states the first. She must never reveal its existence. Then, it mentions the second. She stares in utter shock, dumbfounded by the unseen second condition. She asks what the cat means by wanting her name, and it explains that her name will become its property and she will lose it forever. She wonders why a sacred beast would want a contract with her when she feels like nothing more than a rat trapped in a gate. Her resolve hardens as she thinks of getting revenge on those who destroyed her life, family, and comrades. Remembering the sacrifices of her comrades, she realizes what's at stake. "I'll even sell my soul," she declares, her eyes burning with fierce determination. "All right, cat, I'll make a contract with you." A brilliant column of golden energy strikes down, sealing the pact between them. System windows confirm the contract's success, binding her soul to the cat, increasing her agility, and activating a new passive skill. She acquires the sacred beast's authority, an ability known as Cat's Claw. A golden light emanates from her as she feels the new power coursing through her body. The cat appears in a physical, glowing golden form, happily greeting her new big sis and playfully batting at her face. As she tries to ask the playful cat to explain its power, her sentence is cut short. Crash! The ground erupts violently as an even more powerful monster appears. A new system notification announces a level 78 mutant red-eyed black tiger has discovered her, and she stares in horror. "A second mutant," she exclaims, shocked by the rapid boss spawn, while the cat cheers her on to fight. Facing a level 78 beast, she panics, wondering how she can possibly defeat something so much stronger than the last one. The cat confidently tells her this is the perfect time to test her new powers, insisting she is now much stronger than the tiger. The powerful tiger slams its paw into the ground with terrifying force. The impact shatters the earth, leaving a deep, web-like crater. The beast lunges forward, a blur of motion streaking toward Yunha. Grrr. The tiger stops dead in its tracks, its massive jaws agape in a confused growl. Boosted by her new power, Yunha marvels at her incredible speed as she dodges through the air. A system window announces the level 78 tiger is now enraged, its attack power increasing as it lunges with a furious slash. Caught mid-air with nowhere to dodge, she decides to risk everything on her mysterious parasol. The tip of her parasol erupts in a massive burst of fiery energy. She unleashes a powerful blast of fire from the parasol, directly hitting the tiger's face. Thwack! Landing on her feet, she stares in disbelief, wondering about the power of the attack she just used. A purple aura now envelops the parasol, and she realizes with shock that it's no ordinary item. The cat praises her for figuring out how to use the parasol, but she admits it felt like the weapon moved on its own. The wounded tiger stands its ground, and Yunha grimly notes that one attack wasn't enough to finish it. The cat asks why she isn't using other skills, and she explains that her fire was ineffective against the monster's fur. A system window from the cat reminds her that she gained authority through their contract. The cat's golden form strikes a pose as a notification asks if she wants to activate Authority Cat's Claw. She remembers the contract and realizes she did indeed gain a new ability. System windows confirm the activation of Cat's Claw, which will now remain constantly active. Feeling no different, she asks the cat with annoyance if this is all the new power does, questioning the lack of a manual. The cat advises that it's normal not to feel anything, and that she should try it in combat as a golden feline aura forms. The cat suddenly cries out a warning. Big sis, look out. KGH. The tiger's massive form slams into her, throwing her back. Realizing she's defenseless, she knows she has to create a diversion immediately. A fiery energy gathers in her hand, ready to be unleashed. The burst of fire swirls intensely, taking on a new form. She stares in shock as the flames transform into small, rat-like clones. The fiery rats swarm around her, and she notes their peculiar scurrying movements. As she clenches her fist, the flame rats dash forward to engage the enemy. She finally understands. Cat's Claw is a passive skill that creates afterimages of her attacks, confusing the tiger. The tiger swats at the fiery decoys, and she realizes it's falling for the trick. Good, she thinks, her hand alight with fire. It's playtime for the cat. Using the distraction, she leaps over the massive tiger, her parasol held ready. With fierce determination, she closes in for a decisive strike. The surprised tiger is swarmed by the flaming rats as Yunha prepares her attack from above. She recognizes the high-level threat before her and knows she has to make this count. Thinking she only has one chance, she launches herself off a platform of fire, aiming for the beast's head. Her focus narrows to a single thought. Right now, with a resolute expression, she brings the glowing parasol down for a finishing blow. I'll finish it in one hit, she screams as the tiger roars in defiance. The parasol strikes the tiger's head with a blinding flash of golden and purple energy. KGH. She grunts with effort, driving the weapon deeper into the beast's skull. The attack's energy intensifies in a brilliant final burst. The powerful strike tears through the tiger's head, causing a devastating explosion. The beast's head is obliterated, and a system window confirms the second monster has been defeated. Kneeling in exhaustion, she gasps out, "I did it." She glances at the cat, who is busy preening, and dryly thinks, "Right, you were a cat too, weren't you?" Surveying the remains of the monster she once struggled with, she marvels at the incredible power of the sacred beast's authority. Her moment of triumph shatters as her eyes widen in horror at the sight of her broken parasol on the ground. She gasps, wondering how the parasol broke and what she will do now, as the cat asks what's wrong. Her gaze falls upon her wrist, where her mother's bracelet, her only memento, now lies shattered. The golden cat watches her distress, calling out a curious "Yongyi?" The sacred beast nuzzles against her cheek, offering comfort as she mourns her broken keepsake. She stares in disbelief as a golden light envelops her wrist, repairing the broken memento before her eyes. The cat proudly explains that fixing a simple trinket is nothing for a being of its power. Yuna stares silently at her restored memento, still processing the impossible. The cat explains it doesn't normally provide such services, but it couldn't resist helping after seeing her so sad. Wah! The cat tells her to take good care of the precious item, and she smiles, agreeing that she will. Her moment of relief is cut short, as she remembers she still needs to check the reward for defeating the second mutant. The system window reveals she has obtained the quote pitch-black silk dress of the Princess of Black Flames, leaving her utterly flabbergasted by how pretty it is. The scene shifts to a beautiful sunset over a modern city skyline. In Seoul at 6:31 p.m., Hunter Management Association team leader Kim Gwang-hyun welcomes a hunter Shin Si-woo. The team leader explains to a hooded young man that after completing the B-rank gate tutorial, he will be recognized as a formal hunter. The young man, Shin Si-woo, asks if completing this one task will free him from any more bothersome obligations. The team leader confirms it, and Si-woo simply says he understands. As Si-woo turns to face a glowing green gate, the team leader tells him he'll see him in an hour. Hunter Shin Si-woo stares ahead, his expression hidden but his focus clear. A text box reveals that his stamina, mana, and combat ability are all S rank, and he is a promising hunter from the Wolf Guild. Another text box notes that he has formed a contract with a divine beast in the form of a dog. The team leader muses that Si-woo, though not yet registered, is already a heavyweight qualified for an S-rank license based on skill alone. He smirks, seeing this as an opportunity to observe Si-woo's performance and recruit him into the association. An agent nervously calls out to the distracted team leader, who snaps out of his thoughts in a comical panic. Another official in the observation room asks if the young man is really the guild leader's biological son. An icy blue aura appears as a thought bubble mentions rumors that the son is too frail to appear in public. The official dismisses the rumors, stating that the truth will be revealed after the test. A hand reaches into a frosty, crystalline environment. Inside the gate, the tutorial begins as Si-woo faces swarms of insect-like monsters. He calmly prepares to dispatch an approaching bug-like creature. Thwack! With a simple gesture, he effortlessly crushes the monster with a blast of bright blue energy. Splattered with the monster's remains, he dryly notes that it smells funky. A system window announces he has acquired the gate, and that the exit is now active as he holds a glowing purple gate core. Standing over the massive defeated bug boss, he confirms the gate core is his proof of completion. He checks his phone, noting it's 7 p.m., and he's eager to leave the smelly place after only 30 minutes. He pauses, a hint of concern crossing his face as he realizes something is wrong. Looking toward the sealed exit, he wonders why the gate isn't opening, recalling no warnings from Kim Gwang-hyun. He sighs in annoyance, wondering if it's a special dungeon with two bosses and if he should wait for an attack. Clenching his scarred fist, a painful memory surfaces as he yells, "I don't want to, father!" In a flashback, a younger, terrified Si-woo begs to stop the training and refuses to join the Wolf Guild, as a shadowy figure calls him a weakling. The menacing figure of his father asks if he can bear the responsibility of the wolf with such a weak attitude. A close-up shows the utter terror on the young boy's face. Back in the present, Si-woo's expression is grim, shadowed by the traumatic memory. Deciding against waiting, he resolves to find the boss quickly so he can finish the job and go home. He observes that his first real dungeon feels no different from his usual practice sessions. He recalls a training session where his instructor asked if he knew about unknown gates. A memory of his instructor's lesson explains that unknown gates are unpredictable and have caused major tragedies. Remembering the warning to be extremely cautious, Si-woo wonders if he has stumbled into an unknown gate. He dismisses the thought, certain it was a B-rank gate because he saw a green rift upon entering. He stands before a blue energy pillar emanating from the ground, holding the purple core. His divine beast, a spectral blue wolf, appears, remarking that he always makes the same sad face when thinking of that person. Pushing the thought aside, he focuses on the strange calm, suspecting there might be a second boss monster. Determined not to wait around in the disgusting place, he tightens his grip on the gate core. He crushes the purple core, unleashing a powerful wave of energy. A chaotic purple rift erupts from the ground, a phenomenon he's never seen before. He grunts as the violent energy tears through the cavern. "Damn it," he yells in alarm, realizing the powerful vortex is sucking him in. The chaotic energy subsides, revealing a tranquil, rocky canyon under a bright blue sky. An enormous fiery blast erupts, shattering the quiet landscape with explosive force. A new, ferocious tiger with dark fur and glowing red eyes charges through the fiery terrain, growling. A close-up shows Yunha's new shoes near her broken parasol, a stark reminder of her last battle. Confronting the new beast, Yunha demands to know where it thinks it's going, as the tiger roars back fiercely. Another powerful explosion engulfs the area in a blinding flash of fire and debris. The tiger lies wounded and bloodied on the ground, struggling to move amidst the lingering flames. As Yunha walks forward, she thinks to herself, as expected. Standing amid the embers, she wonders aloud if this is just another wild goose chase for the next clue. The golden cat gushes with excitement, calling Yunha's new look truly wonderful as she stands silently. The cat, acting like a photographer, vows to archive pictures of her amazing outfit in a photo album. Flustered, Yuna laments being reminded of her embarrassment, while the cat declares its dream has come true. She bashfully asks if the dress suits her, acknowledging its impressive defense despite looking cumbersome. She realizes the dress and umbrella were key to obtaining the set's shoes and brooch, completing the ensemble. With 4 items gathered, Yunha considers her next move, noting that only one named monster remains and that lesser beasts now flee on sight. The cat cheekily suggests the monsters learn their lesson, but Yunha scoffs, thinking they're not that bright. Seeing no other monsters, she decides it's time to return to her hideout for the day. The scene transitions to nighttime as logs crackle in a warm, inviting campfire. A system notification appears, congratulating her on obtaining finely ground Himalayan salt. She receives more surprising rewards: fragrant black pepper, flavorful mustard, and tomato ketchup sauce. The cat, wearing a tiny chef's hat, offers her the condiments as she marvels at its unexpected usefulness and requests some peppers. While the cat proudly acts as her chef, she somberly reflects on getting used to eating monster meat to survive. Staring into the flames, she quietly wonders if she will ever be able to escape this place. The cat asks if she wants to leave, and she retorts, asking if it forgot the entire reason she's fighting. The cat reminds her that staying here was her choice, and she reluctantly agrees, but trails off. Changing the subject, the cat cheerfully nuzzles her, announcing that today marks their 1-year anniversary. As the cat happily dances, Yunha's thoughts darken as she repeats, 1 year. With a grim expression, she realizes this means it has been 2 years since she was trapped. Her thoughts drift to the grieving families of her fallen comrades, reminding herself she must return their dog tags. She remembers her mother, Lee Hee-suk, wondering if her grave is being tended to, and then her thoughts turn to Ig. A memory of a smiling, white-haired young man named Ijun flashes through her mind. She worries if he is okay, her mind filled with conflicting images of him smiling and crying in terror. Her expression hardens with renewed, fierce determination. She clenches her fist with a sharp crack, startling the cat as a notification confirms its alarm. The concerned cat asks what's wrong, wondering if the sauce was bad and offering to find something else. Yuna reassures her companion that it's not about the food, which she enjoyed. Her resolve solidifies as she states that her only thought is about getting out of here. Her determination intensifies, and she vows that if she cannot find the final black flame item, she will risk her own life to force the gate's exit open, no matter the cost. The cat's form shifts, its golden aura glowing with a new, serious intensity. Panicked, the cat urges Yunha to rest after so many battles, but she brushes off the concern, saying she isn't tired. The cat blocks her path, desperately warning her that it's too dangerous to go out now. It insists she'd be happier staying with it, prompting her to grimly question what dangerous really means. Suddenly, the very fabric of the dimension seems to crack, revealing a glitching, purple digital void. A red system warning flashes about detected damage, and Yunha stares in shock at the destabilizing world. More alerts appear, citing external interference and a forced gate reset, as Yunha is caught in a violent purple vortex. As system errors flood the screen with corrupted text, she realizes the gate's inner wall is collapsing. The cat's form transforms into a ferocious, glowing beast, its eyes narrowed as it lets out a menacing growl. Confused and alarmed, Yunha demands to know why her companion is suddenly acting so hostile. Her eyes widen as she wonders if the final monster is appearing, spotting a solitary human figure in the fractured distance. With a determined gaze, Siwoo looks at the figure before him, declaring that she is the real boss. His blue eye widens in a silent moment of stunned realization. As a torrent of brilliant blue energy surrounds her, Yunha stands shocked by the sudden, powerful attack. Thrown back by the force, Siwoo questions the unexpected ice-based attack. Watching the girl and her golden companion, he realizes with a start that this supposed monster just spoke. Striding forward through the icy cavern, he concludes that if it can talk, it can't be a monster. His expression is serious as he comes to the stunning realization that he's facing a person. Sapphire's shock intensifies as he confirms his opponent is a woman, just as she addresses him. Through her flowing dark hair, Yunha confronts the newcomer, asking if he is human. A close-up shows Yunha's wary expression, which is met by Siwoo's utter bewilderment. After Yunha confirms he is human, Siwoo tries to de-escalate, but she scoffs, refusing to talk with a monster. Unwilling to listen, Siwoo unleashes another ferocious blast of bright blue energy. A pool of blood forms near Yunha's heeled shoes, as narration suggests her human appearance is deceiving. With a menacing glare, Yunha's inner thoughts reveal her belief that this place is no longer survivable for humans. Overwhelmed by tangled emotions and the smell of blood, Siwoo resolves to get out of this disgusting place. Gathering his energy, Siwoo declares his intent to end the fight in a single decisive blow. A massive explosion of blue power erupts, consuming the area in a blinding flash. Ugh, thud. Siwoo is violently thrown back, landing hard as he stares in disbelief at his opponent. As Yunha stands unscathed, Siwoo questions how this could possibly be a B-rank gate. He furiously punches the ground, cursing that the gate's assessment was completely wrong. The two combatants face each other across the frozen, energy-filled battlefield. A system window materializes in the air, announcing the activation of his authority, Dog's Fang. As a spectral wolf manifests behind him, Siwoo taps into his power, vowing he cannot back down. Yunha realizes he is serious about killing her, and, seeing no other option, prepares to fight back in earnest. A powerful force smashes into the ground, signaling a sudden counterattack. Siwoo looks up in shock as he sees Yunha's silhouette leap into the air. Now glowing with fiery energy, Yunha notes that he is also awakened and decides not to kill him. She unleashes a massive, roaring torrent of fire from her weapon. Yunha lands gracefully as Siwoo's inner thoughts acknowledge he cannot easily block such overwhelming firepower. Hiding behind a massive ice shield, Siwoo grimly considers his next move. Click. Siwoo's hair turns white as his aura intensifies. Recognizing he cannot take his opponent lightly, Yunha charges forward, taunting that he won't be able to defeat her by simply hiding behind a shield. Siwoo stands calmly behind his newly formed ice barrier, waiting for her approach. Click. With a snap of his fingers, he unleashes a new attack, catching Yunha by surprise. She feels the immense power of the attack, realizing it's completely different from before as the spectral wolf returns. Yunha unleashes a powerful blast of fire from her weapon. Stunned, Siwoo watches as a wave of water emerges to counter the flames. Caught completely off guard, Siwoo is trapped and submerged in a swirling vortex of water. Yunha realizes her opponent can also control water, a possibility she hadn't considered after only fighting beasts. Trapped underwater, Siwoo laments that he could have won if he hadn't let his guard down. As his consciousness fades, Siwoo desperately calls out for his mother. A distant memory surfaces of a voice calling for Yunha to wake up for school. The memory darkens, shifting to a funeral portrait with burning incense. Startled back to the present, Yunha sees the golden cat's glowing form and wonders what it is. As she struggles to breathe, the cat's voice urges her not to die. The golden cat waves encouragingly from a distance, surrounded by a radiant aura. The cat desperately yells for its sis not to die as a brilliant golden light engulfs Yunha. Yunha floats peacefully within the golden radiance, her life being restored. Waking up, Yunha asks the nuzzling cat if it saved her and what happened to her opponent. The cat directs her attention upwards as system windows appear, announcing she has acquired the Tiara of Black Flame, the fifth and final item. Looking at a system screen showing the cat, Yunha asks with an annoyed expression if it had the tiara all along. The system window grants her the title Princess of Black Flame, and given the option to use it now, she eagerly accepts, determined to use any advantage she can get. Declaring that she doesn't want to die, she activates the title, unleashing a brilliant explosion of golden light. System notifications confirm the title is now active and that her innate flame ability has evolved. The scene cuts back to a shocked Siwoo, who stands amidst a torrent of blue energy. With a stunned expression, Siwoo realizes his opponent seemed to vanish for a moment. Surrounded by swirling purple energy, Yunha reappears with a triumphant smile as a system window congratulates her. Ding! A notification confirms that the title, Princess of Black Flame, has been successfully activated. Huh? Siwoo says aloud, completely bewildered, as he watches her materialize below him in a storm of purple power. A close-up reveals the purple rose on her dress is now glowing with a powerful, dark energy. Amidst the swirling purple flames, Yunha comes to a profound realization about her newly evolved power. She now understands that if she simply wills it, the flames will become a direct extension of her will. A massive, crackling blade of pure purple fire materializes and hurtles down toward the white-haired boy. Staring up in disbelief, Siwoo silently questions what this terrifying new attack is. Siwoo cries out, desperately trying to block the descending purple fire with his ice-shielded hands. The sheer force of the purple explosion sends him flying backward as Yunha watches with a cold gaze. Siwoo is shocked that his ice shield failed to extinguish the powerful purple flames on contact. The scene shifts to a dark room where a young man with black hair looks up, questioning the name Princess of Black Flame. Another man explains the legend of the princess, a beautiful being who speaks but is so dangerous that anyone who meets her must flee, as an image of Yunha wreathed in purple flames appears. The black-haired man scoffs, dismissing the story as something that wouldn't even scare modern kids. As the older man insists it's real, the younger one waves him off, calling his scare tactics lame and old-fashioned. Putting on his headphones, the black-haired man internally scoffs at how childish the story is. He wonders what the Princess of Black Flame really is, as the scene returns to Yunha, standing amidst her power. Back in the gate, Siwoo looks at Yunha in dawning horror, realizing who she is, while she glares back with glowing yellow eyes. He sweats nervously, admitting to himself that he's completely unable to read her movements. Overwhelmed by her power and the sickening smell of blood, he feels an urge to throw up. But he thinks, gathering his blue energy, that doesn't mean I can stop here. He resolves to push through the fight, while Yunha watches him with an unwavering, cold expression. A violent clash of purple and blue energy erupts between the two combatants. The raw power of their attacks collides in a massive blinding explosion. Siwoo's spectral wolf suddenly warns him to be careful as it smells cats, leaving Siwoo utterly confused. The wolf clarifies that a strong cat smell is coming from the woman he's fighting. Siwoo wonders if she's a humanoid monster, though he notes she doesn't look like a beast type. Ugh. A blast of purple energy hits him as the wolf chides him for getting distracted at a critical moment. He decides he has to take her down first and figure out the details later. Kneeling by the water, Siwoo gathers his energy for a powerful counterattack. Unleashing a massive wave, he vows to show her the taste of the very water she melted. Yunha is caught and completely submerged in the violent, swirling vortex of water. Siwoo watches intently, believing she has been swallowed by his attack. No, he realizes. With sudden shock, she let herself get swallowed by it on purpose. Ugh. A powerful explosion from within the water sends a shockwave through the cavern. Siwoo is thrown back by the force of the blast. He looks on with a grimace, concerned by the unexpected turn of events. He watches in stunned silence as Yunha emerges from the mist, carrying him over her shoulder. With a trembling hand to his head, he groggily wonders what's happening. From behind him, Yunha speaks, admitting with a strange look that she supposes she missed being around humans. Siwoo realizes he's dying and laments his meaningless end, as Yunha looks down on him. In disbelief that this is how it ends, he's startled when Yunha suddenly grabs him, pulling him toward her. As she pulls him into an embrace, he panics, wondering what is happening. Siwoo's eyes widen in terror as Yunha slumps against him, making him wonder if she has finally fallen. Flung back by the force of her collapse, Siwoo asks what's going on, then realizes with relief that he survived and she's still breathing. With his hair now a light blue, he reflects that if the monster hadn't fallen, he would surely be dead. Still holding Yunha, Siwoo hears a noise and wonders if the exit is opening, but realizes the boss monster isn't dead yet. As Yunha lies unconscious in his arms, Siwoo looks down and notices a faint golden glow emanating from her chest. A close-up reveals a shining golden dog tag hanging from a chain around her neck. The scene shifts to an office where a man with glasses stares intently. wondering why there has been no news. Growing agitated, the man checks the time, complaining that he would have left already if not for the association president. Leaning back, he muses that with S-rank ice and water abilities, the president's interest is understandable, though he doubts the offer will be accepted. He jumps to his feet with a broad, welcoming smile, happily greeting the returning Hunter Shin. Kia! He screams in shock as his greeting is cut short by the sight of a battered and bruised young man with black hair. The terrified man asks what happened as the disheveled hunter, Siwoo, simply holds out a large, glowing purple gate core. The man recognizes the gate core, relieved it's been cleared, but questions Siwoo's terrible condition from a mere B-rank gate, to which Siwoo asks for first aid. Grabbing Siwoo, the man scoffs at the need for first aid in a B-rank gate, but Siwoo calmly states, "Not me." Siwoo calmly gestures with his thumb over his shoulder, clarifying that the injured one is that person. This scene reveals the unconscious Yunha, resting peacefully beside her ornate black parasol. The scene transitions to a bright sunny day, showing a modern glass skyscraper in the city. Flustered, the man in glasses ends a phone call, promising to contact Hunter Shin again. Collapsing in his chair, he complains that Hunter Shin Siwoo is a headache, as the scene cuts to an examination of the unconscious Yunha, who has no major injuries. The man asks if she was seriously hurt, and Siwoo explains she has a slight fever from exhaustion, and that it happened during association training. With a slight, grateful smile, Siwoo looks down and says, "Thank you." The associate studies the unconscious girl, asking who she is, and noting her simple, jet black hair is a rare sight among a sea of flashy, powered individuals. He internally questions her dress and parasol, wondering about a costume event, just as he notices bloodstains on her sleeve. Leaning in, the man spots the blood and thinks a warning to be careful, just as Yunha's fingers twitch. Siwoo urgently grabs the man's arm, warning him that if she wakes up, even he won't be able to stop her. The man is stunned, questioning how an S-rank hunter couldn't handle her as Siwoo lifts Yunha into his arms. As Siwoo announces his departure, the stunned associate protests that he still has more to say. Siwoo walks away, declining to join the association as he's already in a guild, while the man points out he's with the Wolf Guild. Looking back coldly, Siwoo firmly repeats his decline, reminding the man that his future is his own to decide. Desperate, the man yells after the departing Siwoo, insisting he will call him later and that he'd better answer. The associate slumps in his chair, lamenting his corporate life and wondering what truly happened in the gate to leave a hunter like Shin in such a state. A sudden thought strikes him as he reconsiders the events. He flashes back to the girl's appearance, her long black hair, black dress, and parasol. With dawning horror, he realizes her appearance perfectly matches the urban legend of the Princess of Black Flame. The scene shifts to a warm, hazy memory of a woman cooking in a sunlit kitchen. In a dream, Yunha hears someone call her mom, smells soybean paste stew, and feels she should get up to help. She grimaces in her sleep, pained by a strange sensation as poetic verses about moonlight and dawn drift through her mind. Her dream turns into a chaotic nightmare of red energy, as a voice urgently pleads for Sister and Yunha to wake up. An overhead view reveals Yunha sleeping soundly in a spacious, modern bedroom. Sunlight streams through a large window, illuminating her as she rests peacefully in bed. Yunha sits up, looking around the unfamiliar room in confusion, wondering aloud where she is. Click. A sound startles her, and she whips her head around with a look of pure shock. A woman wearing an apron stands in the doorway, greeting her with a surprised, "Oh my." The woman smiles warmly, glad to see she is awake, and says she will go fetch the master. As the woman turns, Yunha scrambles cautiously off the bed, her expression wary. The woman turns back with concern, asking if Yunha is okay, but is met with a fiercely defensive posture. Yunha suddenly lunges, causing the woman to cry out in alarm. Stumbling, Yunha collapses to the floor, reaching a hand out weakly. The woman rushes to her side, leaning down to ask with genuine concern if she is really okay. Looking up with a guarded and confused expression, Yunha asks, "Excuse me?" As the woman continues to ask if she's all right, a flash of energy erupts as Yunha wonders how this is happening. In a richly furnished room, a woman with long dark hair in a black dress has woken up, and a brown-haired attendant nervously addresses her as master. A black-haired man with blue eyes, dressed in casual clothes, appears in the doorway. The woman in the black dress dismisses her attendant for the day. The black-haired man approaches, asking the woman how her body is feeling. A flash of memory reveals his intent. He was the one who lunged to kill her. Unleashing immense purple energy, the woman levitates menacingly as the black-haired man watches from below. He reaches out a hand, startling the enraged woman mid-attack. With his hands raised peacefully, the black-haired man apologizes for startling her, trying to de-escalate the situation. He offers to have rice porridge prepared for her, gently asking if she'll be able to eat. The woman in the black dress turns away, remaining silent and deeply suspicious of his intentions. The black-haired man tries to reassure her, telling her she doesn't need to be so cautious. He explains that if he wanted to harm her, he would have done it already, a point she begrudgingly concedes is true. She notes that, aside from her usual headaches, she feels no pain. The woman confronts him directly, demanding to know why he's acting kindly now after trying to kill her. He explains his initial attack was a misunderstanding, as the strong scent of blood isn't normal for humans, and he mistook her for a rare humanoid monster. Scoffing, she asks if he's actually calling her a monster. He reiterates that if he still thought she was a threat, he would have killed her while she was unconscious. Holding up 2 fingers, he reveals it's already been 2 days since she emerged, leaving her in shock. She panics internally, wondering how this man could have possibly rescued her from that place. As she questions why he'd enter such a dangerous place and why she was called the Princess of Black Flame, he offers her a look at the nearby box. She turns her gaze to a small white box sitting on the floor beside her. Reaching for the box with a look of suspicion, she wonders what could be inside. Opening it, she finds her old uniform and questions what it means. The black-haired man begins explaining why he's sure she's human, his first reason being that the gate's exit opened without her dying. His second reason, he found a human-made shelter inside the gate containing her uniform, and curiously, a TOEIC workbook. For his third reason, he states that, unlike monsters, she didn't attack him immediately upon waking up. He takes a step forward, preparing to reveal his final, definitive piece of evidence. A pair of glowing, golden military-style dog tags swing before her eyes. Holding the tags, he gravely welcomes her to the world 30 years in the future. She sits frozen in shock, the open box of her past before her. Looking up with wide, disbelieving eyes, she mouths the words, 30 years, ? Zero-sum games occur in game theory when the total of all outcomes for all players is 0. This happens because one player's gain is always equal to another player's loss. Stunned, she again questions the impossible claim of 30 years as he presents the box to her. He confirms it, explaining that her golden dog tag is from an obsolete system no longer used by hunters. He admits he couldn't identify the name on the tag because the records are long gone. The devastating truth sinks in as she realizes that countless people and records from her era were lost. He adds that accessing Hunter Association data on living members is difficult, then decides to introduce himself properly. He formally introduces himself as Shin Si-woo and asks for her name. She looks down at the dog tags in her hand, contemplating his question. She declares, "I am Cha Eun-ha," and a look of profound shock washes over Shin Si-woo as he realizes the implication. Shin Si-woo panics internally, realizing he is suddenly, inexplicably unable to say his own name. Memory of a powerful voice echoes, demanding his name in exchange for hers. A vision of the glowing cat reveals the nature of their contract. Once he gives his name, it belongs to her, and he can no longer use it. Back in the present, Si-woo looks on as Yoon-ha starts to say something else. Stating that dates don't lie, Shin Si-woo pulls out his phone, displaying the current date, Monday, May 12, 2031. Yoon-ha stares at the phone screen, her expression one of pure, unadulterated shock. Utterly bewildered, she asks what the device is, and he nervously identifies it. He awkwardly explains that it's a smartphone. Coming from a different era, Yoon-ha is baffled by the concept of a phone without number buttons, asking how it even works. Pulling up a newspaper dated May 12, 2031, Shin Si-woo thinks to himself that this situation is truly impossible. Holding a newspaper on a modern city street, a shocked Yoon-ha questions if it's really the year 2031. The date on the paper, May 12, 2031, makes her realize in horror that over 30 years have passed. She internally panics, having lost count of the days, unable to believe so much time has passed. She reasons that if 30 years have passed, she should be in her 50s, but realizes she hasn't aged at all since entering the gate. A brief flashback shows a younger-looking Yoon-ha, with her dark hair tied back. Staring at her reflection in a shop window, she confirms her youthful appearance hasn't changed. An elderly goblin-like man startles her, impatiently telling the student to move aside so he can buy a paper. As the old man argues with a vendor about a discontinued paper, Yunha realizes that no one sees her as a middle-aged woman. She confirms she hasn't changed physically, but recalls that impossible things can happen inside unknown gates. Standing amid a bustling crowd, Yunha is bombarded with snippets of modern-day conversations. She remains an outsider as people around her discuss trivial topics like analog cameras and popular restaurants. Overhearing chatter about gaming and content creators, the world around her feels alien and fast-paced. Nearby, the black-haired man, Siwoo, leans against a sleek, white car, watching the street. As Yunha makes her way through the crowd, she resolves that there's a place she must see with her own eyes. She looks up, overwhelmed by the sight of the gleaming modern skyscrapers that now dominate the skyline. With Siwoo behind her, she looks around in shock, realizing the place she knew is completely gone and changed. She remembers this area as a former shantytown, a refuge for those displaced by the appearance of gates. In its place now stands a manicured park with a large, thriving tree and a modern gazebo. Staring at the massive tree, she softly acknowledges it as the Tree of Hope, wondering when it grew so large. A golden, hazy memory of the past begins to surface. In the memory, someone hoped that once a tiny sapling grew larger than the shacks, their nightmarish reality would end. Back in the present, Yunha gently touches the bark of the large tree, her expression filled with sorrow. The scene shifts to the tree standing alone under the soft light of the evening sky. Holding his phone, Siwoo turns to Yunha and asks if she is ready to head back now. As night falls, he notes how late it has gotten. Yunha remains standing silently before the Tree of Hope. Watching her, Siwoo notices that the strong scent of blood still clings to her. Realizing she truly has nowhere else to go, Siwoo decides to take her to his house for the time being. Later, inside a modern home, Yunha sits alone in the quiet living room. The steady, rhythmic ticking of a nearby clock echoes through the silent room. Overwhelmed by her thoughts, Yunha clutches her head in distress as the ticking sound amplifies her anxiety. Poof! A glowing golden cat appears before her as she asks if it's there. The cheerful cat materializes, asking its big sis if she's feeling better now. Looking away sadly, Yunha asks the cat what taking my name meant. As the cat playfully pounces, Yunha confronts it, asking if it had something and kept it from her. She holds up her small, jeweled crown, demanding to know why the cat never told her it had it. The cat nervously stammers that it was going to give her the crown, but unexpected things kept happening. While the cat distracts itself by grooming, Yunha presses it, asking why it didn't give her the crown when it knew how desperate she was to escape. Tightly gripping the crown, she angrily demands why it did not tell her it had the last item while she frantically searched for the fifth named monster. The cat begins to cry, reminding her of all the time they spent playing, eating, and sleeping together. It tearfully explains that they talk so much and that she is the only family it has. Yunha grabs her hair, clearly distressed and pained by the cat's emotional confession. The cat continues its tearful plea, explaining that the outside world is scary and that it was always alone. With a sigh of resignation, Yunha extends her hand, telling the whimpering cat it's okay and to come to her. The cat asks if she's not angry and apologizes by donating 100,000 coins, which Yunha accepts despite not knowing their use. Lying on the floor and embracing the glowing cat, Yunha feels a sense of peace, realizing she's no longer alone now that she's escaped. The scene shifts to an exterior view of Siwoo's modern, well-lit house at night. The next morning, Siwoo enters with a folder, offering her a copy of the first-generation Hunter roster, thinking she might be curious. Yunha sits up in bed, looking intently at the folder Siwoo has brought for her. She flips through the folder, seeing a list of names: Song Habin, Park Gu-yeol, Seong-min, all marked deceased. Whoosh! More names fly by on the list, each one bearing the same grim status: deceased. Her eyes widen as she reaches the final entry, her gaze locking onto a single name, Baek Yi-jun, marked as survivor. A brief interlude shows several unfamiliar faces, including a small dog wearing a hat. In a sunlit room, Siwoo tells Yunha that he also has a question, but he lets her ask first, and she asks how he ended up in the unknown gate. Siwoo recalls it was a coincidence, explaining that he entered a B-rank gate after confirming it was a green rift. Yunha confirms he was sure it was a B-rank gate, and Siwoo states he was never informed about an unknown gate. Yunha reveals the gate she entered was C-rank, leading a shocked Siwoo to theorize that unknown gates can disguise themselves. Siwoo desperately asks how she managed to get out, and Yunha plainly replies that she used the exit. As Siwoo processes this, Yoonha internally recalls that she had already collected all 5 items, wondering if that's when the gate's exit opened. Changing the subject, Yoonha fixes her gaze on him and demands to know why he called her the Princess of Black Flames. She points directly at him, her expression serious and demanding an answer. Siwoo stares, speechless, as narration confirms she is indeed the dungeon's Black Flame Princess, with arrows highlighting her signature attire. He awkwardly asks if she's cosplaying, but Yoonha is completely baffled, questioning what cosplay even means. Siwoo admits that at first he thought her appearance was real, but Yoonha, still lost, asks again what cosplay is. He explains cosplay is dressing as a character, but then questions why anyone would wear such clothes into a gate and what a Princess of Black Flames is. An ethereal voice explains that she is a figure from a ghost story. The voice elaborates that she is a beautiful, human-speaking monster from a hunter's legend, one who bewitches her prey and must be fled from on sight. Siwoo finishes the story, gravely stating that her black flames are said to burn even a person's soul. Yoonha says she's never heard the story, but inwardly admits it has many similarities to her own situation. Gazing at her parasol, she quietly wonders if the legend is truly just a simple ghost story. She shifts her focus back to the folder, asking Siwoo if he has read the entire list. Looking uneasy, Siwoo confirms that he has, somberly stating that everyone on it is dead. Yoonha looks up with a knowing glint in her eye, correcting him that there is one exception. Siwoo immediately offers to find more information on the survivor, saying he can quickly find their contact details or address. He continues that finding the survivor will expose her existence to the world, but Yoonha firmly cuts him off with a sharp no. A faint, gentle smile graces her lips as she holds the folder. She explains that simply knowing the survivor is alive is enough for her. Internally, Yoonha reflects that meeting Baek Lee-jun would be confusing, as he must be an old man now after 30 years. Through fractured memories, she recalls a young, soft-hearted Baek Lee-jun in his 20s. She sadly concludes that the incident from the past must have left him deeply traumatized. Looking at Siwoo, she reassures him with a serene smile that's really okay. Siwoo relents but asks if there's anything else she wants, offering to help as much as he can. She declines his offer, but he insists, pleading with her to tell him if there's anything she needs. Siwoo lists things he could help with, prompting Yoonha to finally ask why he is going to such great lengths for her. She suspects his kindness is too much for a simple apology, while he admits he believes there's no such thing as a free lunch. Looking up at him intently, Yoonha directly asks what he wants from her. Siwoo confesses he does have a favor to ask, but clarifies that he wants nothing from her. He just wants to help because she's a first-generation hunter. Yoonha is left completely bewildered by his unexpected declaration. He explains that most first-generation hunters are dead, missing, or comatose due to the terrible environments they faced. Looking at her with genuine respect, Siwoo declares that she survived that brutal era. He clenches his fist, passionately insisting that her survival alone makes her deserving of reverence. Utterly confused, Yoonha thinks to herself that all she ever wanted was revenge. Siwoo calls modern hunters pathetic, noting he couldn't beat her, but Yoonha retorts, questioning his S-rank power, prompting a flustered Siwoo to claim he'd win a rematch. Despite his fluster, Siwoo thinks about her superior skills and status as the sole survivor of an unknown gate. He continues, explaining that her existence will become a massive issue, not just locally, but globally. His expression grows serious as he emphasizes how little is known about the mysterious unknown gates. He tells her that as a survivor of 30 years, she's a breakthrough who can do anything she wants. With his hands held out, Siwoo proclaims that the entire world will soon be reaching out to her. The weight of his words hits her, and Yoonha's eyes widen in absolute horror as her world seems to shatter. Seeing her distress, Siwoo understands she needs time to sort through her overwhelming thoughts. Siwoo mentions he also has a favor to ask of his senior, but says he won't tell her right now, despite her curiosity. He offers her his business card from Silver Moon Management, revealing his full name, Shin Siwoo. As she takes the card, he seriously explains that he's staking his name on the favor he will eventually ask of her. Later, Yoonha stands alone in the guest bedroom, her parasol resting by the bed. She internally questions her future and her own identity, feeling lost in a world where nothing is familiar. Her expression hardens with quiet contemplation as she ponders her next move. A memory surfaces of a document from the strategic planning department as her mother's voice expresses her wish for Yoonha to live her own life. In the flashback, a younger Yoonha in a school uniform insists she'll get a job instead of going to college, but her mother interjects. Her mother smiles wearily, reassuring a worried Yunha that she isn't struggling as much as she thinks. The memory continues, with her mother telling her to live her real life, not one dedicated to her. Touching the document, the young Yunha silently questions what it even means to live her own life. Her mother's hands gently cover her own, promising they can figure it out together. The memory shows them holding hands across a small table, a poignant moment of mother-daughter connection. Back in the present, Yunha's face is filled with sorrow as she reflects that she couldn't keep her promise. She sits on the edge of the bed, a solitary figure dwarfed by the unfamiliar room. With a sudden surge of determination, she stands up, ready for action. She finds some money and excitedly exclaims, "My money!" After rummaging through her things, she realizes she lost a lot, but decides the remaining cash is enough for transportation. Resolved, she grabs her parasol and heads for the door, deciding it's time to go. Elsewhere, Siwoo is on the phone, confused as the person on the other end tentatively identifies themselves as a guardian and asks for a location. Siwoo's eyes widen in shock as he repeats into the phone, "The police station?" The scene shifts to a sunny, modern police station building. A panicked Siwoo bursts in, demanding to know why she would get in a taxi with only 2,001. An angry taxi driver yells at Siwoo about the ridiculousness of the situation, while Siwoo tries to calm him down. The driver continues his tirade, gesturing at Yunha and criticizing her clothes as Siwoo glances over. A police officer offers Siwoo green tea, asking if he's her guardian, leaving Siwoo to stammer in confusion. Yunha looks towards Siwoo, who seems completely overwhelmed by the situation. Yunha defends herself, stating she wasn't trying to get a free ride, but the irate driver yells that trying to pay with 2,001 is fare evasion. The driver shouts that she had no ID or cards, asking if she was locked up, while Siwoo and another officer try to de-escalate. The glowing cat furiously appears, confirming she was locked up and threatening the driver, but Yunha sternly tells it to be quiet. As the oblivious driver continues shouting, the cat gets angrier, calling his voice annoying and demanding he quiet down. The cat lets out a shriek as Siwoo again tries to calm the man down. The cat threatens to yank the driver's beard off, while Siwoo tells Yunha not to worry, guessing her past explains her behavior. The driver furiously demands legal action, while an officer behind him smirks. Siwoo steps forward to offer a resolution. Siwoo apologizes, explaining she is out of touch, and offers his card for compensation as the cat continues to mutter threats. Grab? The furious driver grabs Siwoo's wrist, yelling that he has never met someone so clueless. The driver insists it's about principle, not money, while holding Siwoo's CEO business card and a check for 1,000,000 won. Geez, the now cheerful taxi driver waves goodbye, advising the pretty lady to carry a phone as the cat fumes, vowing never to ride with him again. Outside, Siwoo explains that the base taxi fare is 6,500 won, and her 2,001 wouldn't even cover a bus ticket. Yunha retorts that she didn't know, and that the driver was the one who dragged her to the police station. In his car, Yunha explains the driver got angry when she said she had no card, prompting Siwoo to ask why she didn't call him. He sighs, saying he would have given her a phone first, and offers to drive her where she needs to go. She asks for money to go on her own, but he insists on driving her since he's already out. She quietly asks to go to a cemetery, revealing she wants to visit her mother's grave. Siwoo looks at her with sad understanding, realizing her mother must have died on the day the gates first appeared 30 years ago. As they drive, Yunha notices the traffic light is green and asks for directions to her destination. Siwoo insists on accompanying her, stating it would be problematic if she got dragged to the police again. At a cemetery during sunset, Yunha stands before the grave of Lee Hee-soo, confirming with sorrow that she knew this was the outcome. She looks around at the unkempt graves, remembering how cozy and well cared for the area used to be. Gently touching the cold stone of her mother's grave, she sadly notes that a lot has changed here too. Tracing her fingers over the tombstone, she notices something unusual, questioning if it's candle wax residue. Yunha thinks that no one else should have visited, while Siwoo behind her expresses regret for not bringing flowers. With a flash of blue light, Siwoo materializes a beautiful, glowing crystalline flower in his hand, startling Yunha and the cat. After placing the magic flower on the grave, Yunha explains that she used her hunter earnings to move her mother's grave here from a mass burial site. Gazing out at the city, Yunha reminisces that from this spot, she used to be able to see her old neighborhood and the school path she walked every day. Looking over the modern cityscape, she notes with a hint of sadness that a park she remembered has been replaced by shops. As they stand on the hill, Yoonha recalls watching the beautiful sunset with her mom while doing laundry, a memory she holds vividly. Memory surfaces of a younger Yoonha and her mother on their balcony. A moment that defined my life. The sprawling, brightly lit city at dusk fills the view, a testament to the world that has changed so much. A fleeting glimpse of a familiar, sun-dappled park from her past flashes through her mind. The memory of her old neighborhood is replaced by the sight of towering modern apartment buildings against the sunset sky. Pointing to a large apartment complex, Yoonha asks if it's the place they visited before, where the Tree of Hope was, and Siwoo confirms it probably is. With a sharp, determined look, Yoonha turns to Siwoo and bluntly asks if he's rich. Taken aback by her question, Siwoo stammers in confusion, as Yoonha reminds him he had a proposal for her. Now fully focused, she looks him in the eye and states that she is ready to hear his offer. Meow! Extending his hand, Siwoo formally proposes that she work as a hunter for his guild for just 1 year. Yoonha is stunned by the offer of hunter work, exclaiming at the length of a whole year, while the glowing cat furiously asks if he's insane. Siwoo calmly reiterates his terms. Exactly 1 year, framed as a simple freelance contract. He mentions a 12-0 profit split, prompting a confused Yoonha to ask what that means. Siwoo explains the unbelievable deal. She keeps 100% of her earnings, and his guild will pay her an additional 20% on top of that. Tap tap, the glowing cat warns Yoonha not to trust the con man, while she cuts to the chase, asking Siwoo what he gets out of the deal. Siwoo smiles knowingly and assures her that he stands to gain a lot from their arrangement. The glowing cat explodes with rage, shouting that he can't just buy his sister's time for a year with money. Squish! The cat tries to bribe her with a handful of coins, but Yoonha ignores it, asking Siwoo how he could possibly know what she wants. Siwoo correctly guesses her desire for the apartment building in the distance, promising he can help her buy the entire complex. The cat calls Siwoo a thief while asking how much the apartment costs, but Yoonha takes the cat's coins, deciding they are useless in the real world anyway. Yoonha's true motivation is revealed in a thought. To get her mom's house back, she needs real money. Her eyes harden with resolve as she declares she'll slash hundreds of monster necks if she must. Yoonha firmly shakes Siwoo's hand, looking him in the eye as she states, "It's a deal." Elsewhere, an older, gray-haired man in an office furiously dismisses the story of the Black Flame Princess as nonsense. His younger subordinate with glasses teases him about being scared of ghost stories as a kid, causing the flustered chief to tell him to stop. The man with glasses insists he's being serious, claiming that Hunter Shin himself told him the story. He reveals that Shin confessed he couldn't even beat her, causing the chief to think in terror that he's more afraid of this unknown powerhouse than the ghost story. The chief slams his desk, demanding to know if Shin Siwoo has called back, then orders his subordinate to forget ghost stories and focus on recruiting him. The subordinate questions if Shin would leave his family's guild, but the chief explains that family ties are weak, and he's heard they aren't on good terms. The chief ponders why Shin would start his own management company, concluding that he's keeping something under wraps. His subordinate agrees, remarking on how difficult Shin is to read, and joking it would be easier to negotiate with the eccentric master of the Legion Guild. The chief grabs his subordinate, angrily stressing that the association needs an S-rank hunter to maintain the balance of power in Korea. The chief bellows at his team leader to forget the nonsense and just get in touch with Shin Siwoo, sending the man flying into the door. A female colleague asks the dazed team leader if the president chewed him out again, as he mutters about the association's uptight nature. The team leader storms off, telling his confused colleague not to look for him and that he doesn't know when he'll be back. Marching down the hall with a determined grimace, he thinks to himself that he's not coming back. Back at the apartment, Yoonhee uses a laptop, playfully poking the glowing cat sitting beside her as she types. She scrolls through search results, finding numerous articles praising the Wolf Guild as Korea's #1 guild. Her research continues, revealing forum posts and school project inquiries, all centered on the famous Wolf Guild. Reading through a bulletin board discussion, Yoonha sees comments about the Wolf Guild's overwhelming power and controversial reputation. She observes that the Wolf Guild is so famous, it gets a lot of hate, then wonders what fangirl and hater even mean. Frustrated by the modern internet and new slang, Yoonha laments being locked out of her old accounts and accidentally closing all her tabs. Siwoo appears in the doorway, politely asking if she has a moment. Seeing her on the computer, Siwoo comments on her using the laptop as she thanks him for his ID and asks what he is holding. Siwoo presents Yoonha with a new phone, ID, and bank cards, asking her to keep them safe. He shows her the new ID bearing the name Lee Yura, explaining it's a common alias for hunters seeking privacy. Siwoo admits he still doesn't know her real name. As he sits across from a quiet Yoonha with a gentle expression, he asks if she's still not planning to tell him. Flustered, Yoonha explains it's not that she's avoiding it, but she doesn't know how to explain her circumstances. Siwoo smiles kindly, telling her she doesn't have to explain now, but he hopes to hear her story someday. He stands, revealing he has something to show her and asking to borrow the laptop. A time of change, a time of great upheaval. The hunter and the hunted, in a land where tradition met transformation. Siwoo explains she needs modern knowledge, but a baffled Yoonha asks if the colorful video is for kids. Shocked by the video's 2-hour length and confused about YouTube, Yoonha is assured they'll only watch one episode about the past. The video's host explained that in the early days, awakened individuals were forcibly conscripted into military service. They continue, recounting how hunters were thrown into battle, resulting in many deaths among both hunters and civilians. The video shows a grand memorial dedicated to those who died during that chaotic time. A gavel strikes, signifying a turning point in the history of hunters. The hosts explain that hunters today are treated like superpowered celebrities, admired and cheered by the public. The female host praises her co-host King God Soo, who deflects, noting that the most famous hunters are the special rank. As the video pivots to discussing S-rank hunters, Siwoo watches with a serious expression, while the cat huffs. The cat furiously rants that his sister is S-rank material, prompting Yoonha to quiet it as Siwoo calmly confirms he is an S-rank hunter. Siwoo states that she is far stronger than him, a first-generation hunter, and that if news of her power got out, it would be a huge deal. He asks if she wants that kind of attention, while the cat grumbles about how annoying he is. Siwoo admits there's an issue with their plan, and Yoonha immediately offers to revise the contract if the terms don't suit him. Yoonha explains that to get attention, she'd have to reveal her past, but she lost her name in a contract with the furious cat and is bound by other restrictions. She concludes that she has nothing to grab attention with and prefers to keep her first-generation status and the unknown gate a secret. Siwoo looks down, thinking about her being used as a weapon and understanding her weariness with the hunter life. He correctly guesses she wants to live quietly after the contract, reassuring her that's why he prepared the Lee Yura alias for her. With a determined look, Siwoo insists her skills alone are enough to make her the center of attention, and there are many ways to do it. He proposes they step out for a bit to use the quickest and easiest method to prove her strength. With a confident smile, Siwoo announces they're going to get her hunter rank officially measured. Arriving at a modern high-rise building, an enthusiastic voice bellows a cheerful greeting. A man with glasses named Kim Kwang-hyun from the Hunter Association eagerly introduces himself with a business card. Another man, Park Jae-wee from Silver Moon Management, also excitedly introduces himself, offering his card. The two men shake hands, with Jae-wee apologizing for the sudden appointment and hyping up his megaton-level rookie. Kwang-hyun muses that a direct call from the CEO and a pre-assigned manager might signal the birth of a new S-rank, while Jae-wee boasts that the CEO is overseeing it personally. Both men share a knowing, excited glance, thinking this new hunter must be something extraordinary. Kim Kwang-hyun thinks to himself how this unexpected opportunity landed in his lap during a routine work trip. Park Jae-wee, convinced of the rookie's immense potential, resolves to become her exclusive manager no matter what. While Kwang-hyun sees this as a poaching attempt by Silver Moon, Jae-wee sees it as his ultimate chance to rise to the top. Park Jae-wee gets a notification that the president is parking, and the two men head inside, sensing a momentous event is about to unfold. The two men wait, with anxious anticipation in an elevator. Spotting their quarry, both men erupt with a loud, overjoyed welcome. They shout, "Miss Lee Yura," as a startled Yoonha appears with Siwoo walking beside her. As Park Jae-wee gives Siwoo a parking pass, Siwoo thinks he was so startled he almost attacked him, while the cat smugly celebrates his sister being recognized. Park Jae-wee leans in close to an uncomfortable-looking Yoonha, enthusiastically introducing himself. The man, Park Jae-wee, introduces himself as CEO Shin's assistant and declares that he will be her official exclusive manager. Confused, Yoonha asks what a manager is for, clarifying that she isn't a singer, but Siwoo vouches for the man's trustworthiness. Park Jae-wi passionately grabs Yuna's hands, vowing to support Hunter Lee with anything she needs. He eagerly offers to carry her umbrella, but Yoonha flatly rejects his offer with a simple, "No thank you." Turning away from the overly eager man, Yoonha asks Kim Kwang-yeon from the association when the measurement will start. As they leave, Park Jae-wi scrambles to follow, privately noting how dry and doll-like her personality is. A man in a beanie, seemingly a reporter, points towards the group as a photographer stands ready beside him. The reporter in the beanie speculates that Yoonha's companion must be from Silver Moon, while his photographer notes they're assigning a manager before her rank is even measured and tells her to keep the camera ready. Siwoo glances around at the crowd, wondering why so many people are present. Kim Kwang-yeon nervously explains that Hunter Yu-hwan from the Immortal Guild just left, and the reporters were following him, but Siwoo looks unconvinced. In a panicked inner monologue, Kim Kwang-yeon admits he lied and actually called the reporters himself. Clearing his throat, Kim Kwang-yeon apologizes to Siwoo, explaining he must show her face to the association president, since a new star might be born today. Siwoo considers that no matter the man's scheme, the extra reporters aren't necessarily bad, as they need publicity. Yoonha, with the glowing cat at her side, understands that this is all to help her hide the fact that she's a first-generation hunter. Approaching a large, glowing blue chamber, Yoonha asks if it's the measuring device, and Kim Kwang-yeon instructs her to step inside and put on the helmet. Siwoo reassures Yoonha that ability matters more than ID, but as she holds the helmet, she privately worries that a machine that analyzes ability will expose everything about her. Kim Kwang-yeon informs Yoonha that she needs to choose an alias for her license, leaving her to ask what an alias is. Wearing the helmet, Yoonha recalls only ever naming pets like Blackie and Peep, as the cat chimes in with the suggestion, "Burning Flame Princess." The glowing cat enthusiastically encourages her to use Burning Flame Princess as her alias. Kim Kwang-yeon stammers out the name Burning Flame Princess in disbelief, as Yoonha looks on, confused. With renewed determination in her eyes, Yoonha declares that her alias is Burning Flame Princess. A flustered Kim Kwang-yeon quickly agrees to register the name, privately wondering if it's a concept or if she's the person from the rumors. The reporters watch on, with the man in the beanie thinking that her skill is all that really matters. The onlookers watch with bated breath, certain that her bold alias means she's confident in her abilities as a finger presses the start button, anticipating the birth of a new S rank. The official assessment form reveals the shocking result, an overall evaluation of F rank, with Fs in every category except for an E in potential. A stunned silence falls over the room as Yoonha, the cat, Kim Kwang-yeon, and the reporters all stare in utter disbelief at the F rank result. The scene transitions to a bright, sunny view of the city skyline. Thud, seated in a car, the glowing cat is frozen in shock. The manager, Park Jae-wi, is shown driving with a wide-eyed, stunned expression. In the back of the car, Yoonha and Siwoo sit silently as a shocked Park Jae-wi drives, the glowing cat between them. Park Jae-wi's spirit seems to have left his body as he mutters F rank, while Siwoo and the cat look on from the back seat. The cat complains that the situation is too strange, and Yoonha, gazing out the window, agrees that it's strange. In a fiery flashback, Yoonha recalls how her flame ability once made her a squad leader with an overwhelming advantage against monsters. The cat panics over her F rank result, questioning how it's possible when she's formed a contract with a divine beast. Yoonha realizes with a serious expression that the measurement didn't even take her contract with the divine beast into account. The cat sweats, calling it stupid that the latent power of a divine beast's contractor would be ranked F, as Yoonha wonders if the machine malfunctioned and decides to speak up. A nervous Park Jae-wi announces their arrival, and Yoonha quietly thanks him. Siwoo tells Jae-wi he's worked hard and asks him to wait, then requests the item from the passenger seat. Siwoo hands a small, gray device to Yoonha, explaining that it's a terminal. Yoonha remarks that it looks like an old pager, and Siwoo explains that it's standard equipment for all rookie hunters and offers to explain its use. Siwoo details how the terminal will track her data and experience, notifying her when she's eligible for a rank reevaluation. Holding her F rank paper, Yoonha asks what he means by cancel, reminding him she's in F rank. Siwoo's expression changes to a confident smile as he tells her it doesn't matter because he knows she's not truly F rank. When Yoonha asks why the results were so low, Siwoo admits he doesn't know, stating it's the first time the system has aired, but he's certain no F rank could fight him. The cat erupts in anger, agreeing with Siwoo and calling the measuring device a piece of junk that should be thrown away. As the cat offers to go blow up the machine, Siwoo tells Yoonha to rest, explaining that Manager Park will be assigned to her starting tomorrow. Siwoo reassures her about the F rank, framing it as an opportunity for high growth potential, but she notes her potential was only 4%, causing him to reiterate his distrust of the machine. Getting into his own car, Siwoo confidently tells her that regardless of the machine's results, she'll crush it with her own strength. Watching him drive away, Yoonha quietly wonders what will happen if she doesn't get the chance to crush it. Days later, an irate cat rants about the S-rank bastard making them wait because of her F-rank status, then yells at Yoonha to stop whining because she isn't really an F-rank. The cat tells her to call Siwoo instead of playing with the laptop, but Yoonha calmly responds that she's learning modern technology and invites it to watch the news. After seeing news about the Wolf Guild and Rose Guild, the cat dismisses it as boring, and Yoonha agrees, thinking to herself how aimless she feels. Scrolling through online forums, Yoonha sees people gossiping about the Burning Flame Princess controversy and finds a comment from someone whose grandfather knew she was a real legend. Yoonha searches for Burning Flame Princess on YouTube, marveling at modern convenience when a knock at the door is followed by someone calling out Hunter. Park Jae-wi cheerfully peeks into the room, wishing her a lovely morning and offering a coffee. As Yoonha accepts, a relieved Park Jae-wi offers her sugar for her Americano and notes she was using the laptop. A sticky note with Wi-Fi details and login credentials is shown as a thought bubble reveals Yoonha's realization that taking notes is helpful when you don't know things. Park Jae-wi gives a slightly strained smile, agreeing to her request. In a private monologue, Park Jae-wi wonders if Yoonha is a country bumpkin for not knowing how to use a laptop, noting her registered address is in a remote village. Hearing this, Siwoo interjects that it's his senior's hometown, flustering Jae-wi, who then resolves to teach her everything while grumbling about regional inequality. Park Jae-wi cheerfully presents a box of canils, asking if she's ever had them, as the cat excitedly exclaims over the adorable treats. As Yoonha remarks on the large quantity, Jae-wi explains he bought a variety and encourages her to enjoy them while she takes a break to watch something. Peeking over her shoulder, Park Jae-wi asks what she's watching on YouTube, only to see she's found a video titled Unmasking the Burning Flame Princess. Pang! With a panicked cry, Jae-wi flinches back as the cat thinks to itself, "Whoops, my hand slipped." Jae-wi advises her not to read hate comments, showing an absurd example about an armadillo, which leaves Yoonha wondering what the poor animal did wrong. He explains that people blindly trust rank evaluations, admitting that he honestly does too. While the cat happily nibbles on a tasty dessert, Yoonha thinks about how strong, high-ranked hunters are worshipped like celebrities, similar to school rankings. Park Jae-wi earnestly insists that he doesn't believe rank is everything, though he concedes it's very important. As Yoonha listens, he continues his thought, explaining that some B ranks outperform A ranks, proving there's more to a person than their grade. Leaning closer, Jae-wi suggests her fame isn't just about her rank but her risky outfit concept, which seems to catch Yoonha by surprise. Yoonha firmly clarifies that it's not a concept and she won't change it, stating that she needs all of it. Jae-wi waves his hands defensively, insisting he wasn't criticizing, while Yoonha, looking annoyed, says she understands her outfit stands out. A diagram details Yoonha's Burning Flame Princess set, a tiara, pendant, dress, parasol, and heels, explaining its effect only activates when all pieces are worn. Continuing to apologize, Park Jae-wi insists he wasn't trying to criticize her outfit and had a different point to make. He enthusiastically declares that his real point was that she has powerful allies like the Wolf and Silver Moon guilds backing her up. With a determined glint in his eye, Jae-wi confidently tells her she'll soon learn that rank and rumors don't mean much. The scene shifts to a bright, sunlit area where a glowing gate pulses, and guards yell for people to stay back during a final check. Surprised, Yoonha asks if it's a real gate as an excited Park Jae-wi runs up, asking if she thought he was bluffing. Jae-wi proudly presents a gate entry form, telling her that with the wolf name behind her, she's entering as a full-fledged support hunter. He passionately explains that as a hunter, she'll earn a share of the profits, unlike scavengers or porters, boasting about securing the valuable slot for her. Yoonha questions why a major guild like Wolf wouldn't have its own C-rank gate license, and Jae-wi smiles, ready with an answer. He boasts that Wolf doesn't need to bid on C-rank gates because their members are all high-ranked, and they use their own mock gate for training. As Jae-wee rambles on about regrets and plans, the cat thinks he talks too much, and Yunha decisively announces she is going in. Park Jae-wee stops her, offering a bag he's carrying, prompting Yunha to ask what's inside. He proudly lists its contents: first aid, rations, and more, explaining he packed it out of concern for his precious hunter. Yunha and the cat stare at the bag he's holding out. After a moment's hesitation, Yunha accepts the bag with a thanks, and Jae-wee tells her not to mention it. Jae-wee excitedly points out that a famous streamer, King God-soo, is in the group, but the cat complains he is too talkative as Yunha declares she is heading in. Jae-wee shouts words of encouragement as Yunha walks off, while the cat again laments his manager's chattiness. Yunha walks toward the gate, drawing the stares of a group of rough-looking hunters. The cat furiously demands the punks lower their eyes, while Yunha wonders why they're staring, guessing they saw the articles about her. An official directs the hunters and scavengers to their positions, and Yunha steels herself, resolving to focus on the job. A hand forcefully grabs her shoulder as a man's voice gruffly calls out to the black dress. A large, bald hunter has grabbed her, telling her that F ranks belong in the back. The bald man shoves her toward the rear, insisting F ranks go to the back of the line as other hunters watch. The cat fumes silently at the bald old man, while Yunha unexpectedly lets out a small amused. The other hunters mock her, calling her shameless and questioning the Wolf Guild's decision to bring her. As one hunter threatens to smash her face for laughing, the cat challenges him to try, but Yunha simply asks, "Is that so?" Turning her back on the bully, she walks away, calmly stating, "I didn't know." The bald man yells for her to get back, but his shouts are drowned out by an official announcing the gate is opening. As the green gate roars to life, a countdown begins, and the bald hunter clicks his tongue in frustration. An announcement echoes that the dungeon gate is open, filling the air with a terrifying adrenaline. Yunha steps forward, crossing the threshold into the swirling vortex of the gate. Watching from a distance, a worried Park Jae-wee questions if sending an untrained F rank into a dungeon was the right call. A powerful surge of energy radiates from the gate's swirling entrance. A live stream broadcast by BJ King God-soo begins, showing comments flooding the chat. The streamer King God-soo greets his audience, announcing the start of his live C-rank dungeon raid broadcast. The streamer King God-soo begins his live broadcast from inside the swamp dungeon, explaining his late start to his viewers. As raid leader, King God-soo explains he had to make announcements, apologizing for the bright camera light as he shows his fellow hunters to the stream. After receiving a donation, King God-soo cheerfully reassures his audience that a C-rank dungeon is a perfect, non-scary challenge for a D rank like him. A hunter confirms to his companion that the Roar Guild really recruited King God-soo, noting his immense popularity and wondering about his recruitment fee. The cat wonders who King God-soo is talking to, prompting Yunha to explain NeoTube videos while marveling at his commercial success. Watching the relaxed streamer, Yunha reflects on how voluntary hunter service has improved the profession's welfare and public perception. She grimly recalls that her 30-year prison was also a C-rank gate, noting how little progress has been made in understanding them since. A shout warns the group as a level 9 Sly Salamander lunges from the foliage, its appearance confirmed by a system notification. Kyak the Sly Salamander lets out an ominous cry, its tongue flicking menacingly. A system warning flashes as the first salamander summons a horde of companions, which immediately swarm the raiding party. Excitedly showing the horde to his viewers, King God-soo receives a mission to win a one-on-one battle, which he confidently declares will be easy. As the hunters unleash a flurry of attacks, the bald man turns and yells, "Hey, F rank!" The bald hunter aims his crossbow near her, furiously demanding to know why she's just standing there like an idiot. Keek. He yells at her to get back if she's scared, firing an arrow past her head that impales a nearby salamander. As arrows continue to fly and salamanders screech, Yunha calmly prepares a small flame in her hand. To her surprise, the wounded salamander severs its own tail and quickly scurries away to escape. King God-soo shouts for the party to hold back, explaining that the monster's tails are expensive and they can profit by just scaring them off. A male hunter reassures Yunha that this is her first time and explains their strategy. Secure the valuable tails first, then hunt the monsters down. The party members tell her to stay in rear support, but the man patronizingly suggests she try to hit at least one monster to gain experience points. As he suggests she might rank up, her terminal shows all her stats. Monsters defeated, assists, and points are currently at 0. Looking at her terminal, Yoonha realizes she must land a hit to gain experience and resolves to pull her weight for her share of the profits. Kikiak King God Su grins at his camera announcing that 5 more salamanders are on their way. As a hunter lunges, yelling for someone to grab a tail, the targeted salamander lets out a sharp kick. With a look of fierce concentration, Yoonha raises her hand as a powerful vortex of dark purple energy gathers around it. The severed tail twitches on the ground, and Yoonha realizes it's not just a nerve reaction as the bald hunter takes aim nearby. The bald hunter yells, "Hey, F-Rank," just as a severed, twitching tail is sent flying directly toward her. He glares at her, mockingly asking if she's really scared of a simple level 9 monster. As Yoonha turns away, the bald man yells that he's not finished talking, fuming that she's getting on his nerves, while the cat fumes that he's been picking a fight the entire time. Standing silently while the bald hunter fumes behind her, Yoonha looks at the empty spot on the ground and thinks, it's gone. As the bald man shouts at her, another hunter asks if she took the missing tail, but Yoonha calmly denies it. The hunter apologizes, but Yoonha thinks to herself that something is definitely wrong, feeling as if the tail was pulled away by an unseen force. During a break by the campfire, the cat complains about the lack of coffee and finds itself missing Park Jae-wee's hospitality. Checking her terminal, Yoonha sees she still has 0 experience points and laments being distracted, but feels confident she will get a chance to fight soon. King God-su leans over to cheerily reassure Yoonha, telling her not to be discouraged by her slow start. The cat furiously tells the streamer to stop hitting on Yoonha, who coolly asks, "What about it?" when he identifies her as the Burning Flame Princess. King God-su smiles, telling her not to be so stiff and that he's just offering some friendly advice as a senior hunter. Annoyed, Yoonha rejects his offer of advice, while the cat angrily wonders who he thinks he is to speak to her like that. Ignoring her refusal, he patronizingly tells her there's no need to be ashamed of being weak, enraging the cat, who mentally tells the jerk to back off. He lectures that beginners mistakenly target smaller, faster monsters, but Yoonha internally disagrees as he smugly asks if she really knows anything at all. The cat furiously yells that King God-su is the ignorant one, while the streamer advises his audience to target bigger, slower monsters, prompting the cat to retort that Yoonha is faster. As the stream chat discusses her F-rank status, King God-su calls his advice a shortcut to gaining Express, causing the cat to scream in frustration. After a donation jokes about his advice, King God-su glances at Yoonha's parasol and dismisses it as just an accessory. He asks if her concept and parasol won't hinder her in a fight, but she firmly states that it isn't just an accessory. Suddenly, a massive surge of menacing red energy erupts behind them, startling both Yoonha and the streamer. Panicked hunters wonder if it's an earthquake, but Yoonha's expression hardens as she realizes it's a monster. King God-su quickly takes charge, reassuring everyone that the monster is just early and ordering the hunters to follow him while leaving a few to guard the rear. He gives Yoonha a flirty wink, telling her to stay behind and go all out against any monsters that slip past the main group. With a final thumbs up, he reminds her of his advice: hit the big ones once, and then retreat. A new system window appears, announcing the arrival of a formidable level 13 sly salamander flicking its poison-coated tongue. Keek! One of the hunters left on guard duty shouts in alarm as a monster suddenly appears right beside them. As the salamander lunges, a gray-haired hunter intercepts it with a powerful punch, yelling that he's got it. Watching from a distance, Yoonha frowns, wondering if she's being too sensitive about a C-rank dungeon. The bald hunter turns to mock Yoonha again, asking if she's scared, while the cat fumes atop his crossbow, thinking, "Give me a break." The cat furiously rants about the riffraff bothering his sister, threatening to make the hunter even balder as Yoonha smirks, noting the cat's constant anger. The bald hunter glares at her, asking if she's laughing and telling her to go protect the gatherers if she has free time. 2 other hunters stare at a small salamander, with one remarking that Yoonha would fit in with her fellow F-ranks. The bald hunter shouts for her to run over, as another hunter points frantically, yelling for her to come here now. A young hunter looks confused, asking what they mean, oblivious to a massive, red-eyed monster appearing behind him. A monstrous form erupts from the water, sending the hunters flying and one screaming in terror. A hunter stares in horror at the massive, drooling beast, identifying it as the boss monster, Ki. The beast lets out a piercing shriek as a system window announces the arrival of the level 20 Queen of the Swamp, BWOO. The Swamp Queen lets out a deafening roar, its red eyes glowing with malice. The gray-haired hunter and his blue-haired companion stare in utter shock, unable to even finish the word boss. The raid party is dwarfed by the immense boss monster as someone screams in terror. A hunter with orange hair notes the boss's level is too high, while his blue-haired companion curses the timing and yells for everyone to retreat. The bald hunter frantically tries to calm everyone, warning them not to provoke the boss until the main party returns. When the orange-haired hunter worries about an attack, the bald man points out that the boss hasn't moved yet. The Swamp Queen simply looks up and cries, prompting a hunter to note its strange passivity, which buys them time as darkness falls. The bald hunter turns to Yunha, ordering her to stay back and not provoke the creature. The cat scoffs at the bald man's orders, but Yunha agrees to be careful, prompting the cat to yell, "Sister," in shocked protest. While agreeing to follow the team's decision, Yunha feels something is wrong with the boss appearing only to stand still. As the Swamp Queen continues its mournful cry, Yunha reasons that even mindless monsters must have a purpose for their actions. Suddenly, the bald hunter spots the gatherers near the boss and screams at them to fall back immediately. The gatherers cry for help, realizing an unseen force is dragging their bags and them toward the monster. As the gatherers are helplessly pulled closer, one screams for someone to save him while the others look on in shock. The bald hunter questions what's happening with the bag, but Yunha corrects him, stating that it's not the bag. The horrifying truth is revealed. The severed lizard tails in the bags are writhing, trying to return to the boss monster. Finally understanding, the bald hunter orders a scavenger to drop his bag, but the man hesitates, unwilling to lose his valuable loot. "Wham!" The scavenger shouts back in defiance, refusing to throw away the valuable items. Another scavenger with glasses agrees, arguing that all their hard work is in the bags and would be wasted if lost. While being dragged, one of the men desperately insists the boss is only reacting to the tails and that the other hunters will return soon. Yunha watches the scene unfold, her expression grim as she questions if it's truly just a simple reaction. She reflects on her 30 years in Gates, realizing that monsters can form bonds and questioning what happens when one sees its kind treated as loot. A system window confirms her suspicion. The level 20 Swamp Queen is overcome with grief. As a tear falls, the monster's Mother's Tear skill activates, sending it into a rage that dramatically increases its attack power. Mother's Call enhances, and the monster's power surges, knocking the gatherers down as one shouts that it's gotten stronger and to drop the bag. The bald hunter yells that saving them is pointless as long as they're carrying the bag, while Yunha looks on with concern. Two scavengers struggle frantically, one discovering that the bag's belt is stuck and won't come loose. Seeing their struggle, Yunha urgently shouts for them to cut the bag free with their dagger. A scavenger agrees and begins cutting the strap, but another hunter yells, "Watch out!" as the group is exposed. The hunters on the ground freeze as the blue-haired hunter shouts a warning. The monster has spotted them. The immense, shadowy silhouette of the Swamp Queen looms over the terrified hunters, its red eyes locking onto its target. The severed tails swarm over the trapped scavenger, dragging him across the ground as he screams for help. A system window announces the Swamp Queen is merging with her child's tail, and a level-up notification flashes. The Swamp Queen's power skyrockets as it merges with more tails, rapidly leveling up from 21 to 22. The remaining party members stare in disbelief as Yunha quietly observes the monster's terrifying power-up. An unspoken thought hangs in the air. The monster's level is still rising. The fully powered-up Swamp Queen now towers over the entire area, crackling with immense, terrifying energy. Now at level 25, the Swamp Queen scans for remaining tails and locks its gaze on the final, screaming scavenger. With a final furious roar, the enraged Swamp Queen lunges forward to reclaim what was taken. Yuna swiftly saves a terrified, blonde-haired man from a monster's attack as he stammers his thanks. Slimy, spotted monster tentacles writhe menacingly. System notifications pop up repeatedly, showing the Swamp Queen leveling up from 26 to 28 by merging with its child's tail. The massive, enraged Swamp Queen looms over the small party of terrified hunters. Two hunters, a red-haired woman and a spiky-haired man, stare in shock, realizing the boss is level 30 and far beyond C rank. A bald, muscular man angrily grabs Yuna's arm, blaming the F rank for letting the monster grow stronger and dooming them all. Yunha calmly retorts, asking if he wanted her to just abandon the person who would have died if they hadn't dropped their bag. The bald man shouts that they were preparing to attack the boss, but Yoonha counters that she was also waiting, explaining an early attack would have been disastrous. He dismisses her as a lowly F-rank who only talks big, blaming her for their doom and demanding she follow orders. The monstrous red eyes of the boss glare down, interrupting their argument. The bald man's bravado vanishes as he looks up in terror and screams for everyone to run into the forest. As the other hunters flee, Yoonha stands her ground, resolute. A blue-haired man spots a flash of light in the distance, yelling that it's a signal. A blonde-haired man and a red-haired woman see the signal, shouting that the hunters are back and telling everyone to run over. The blonde man in the blue hoodie tries to rally the group, but he is questioned about where he's going. As the monster bears down on the remaining few, a voice desperately yells for the princess to get to safety. A blonde-haired man in a blue jacket pleads for her to listen, saying it's too dark to fight, just as her one who reads the night passive skill activates. He begs her to come back, questioning what she can do with only a parasol, as her hand clenches around it. The man panics, shouting that even though he told her to aim for the big one, this is just too much. Yoonha floats before the giant monster, channeling immense purple energy into her parasol. She unleashes a devastating attack, a focused beam of pure purple power striking the beast. The attack erupts in a massive, blinding explosion of purple energy. A blonde-haired streamer stares at his monitor in disbelief, exclaiming that she took out a level 30 boss in one hit with a parasol while his chat explodes. As his chat speculates that she can't be F-rank, the streamer insists it must have been a scanner error. He rationalizes that maybe she just finished off an already prepped monster, while his viewers debate the legitimacy of her power. Burning Flame Princess is trending for silencing critics with her stunning debut, as a user passionately declares their belief in her. A brown-haired man with a ponytail beams with pure, unadulterated joy. The brown-haired man, Manager Park, gushes to Yoonha that he always believed she was more than F-rank, while the cat smugly points out his earlier doubt. A narrator reveals that even CEO Shin was thrilled by her performance. Manager Park excitedly tells Yoonha that as proof, CEO Shin has prepared a gift for her. The cat perks up with interest. With a cheerful thumbs up, Manager Park delivers a shocking message: pack your stuff and get out. Standing outside an apartment building with her laptop and a single backpack, a confused Yoonha and her cat wonder what's going on. A promotional image for the Scanlation group is displayed. The cat narrates the confusing situation, while Manager Park offers to help pack, only for Yoonha to state she's already finished. Manager Park tells her to wait while he gets house-related documents, and the cat internally concludes that this is definitely a betrayal. The cat dramatically declares this a betrayal, and Yoonha spots a familiar-looking car. Shin Si-woo sits in the driver's seat, asking Yoonha where Manager Park is and why she's alone. The cat panics, accusing Manager Park of stealing the house deed and kicking them out, but Yoonha calmly assumes the documents are contract-related. Shin Si-woo explains it's not urgent, and that he told Manager Park to leave so they could go check something out themselves. While the cat frets about betrayal and the stolen deed, Yoonha coolly asks why she'd need her house deed anyway. Shin Si-woo asks if Manager Park did not explain anything, and Yoonha confirms he only told her to pack for a surprise. A flustered Shin Si-woo utters a quiet "Ah." Realizing the misunderstanding, he runs a hand through his hair and awkwardly explains that he has a gift for her. Shin Si-woo clarifies that the house deed Manager Park mentioned isn't his, it's hers. He opens the car door, revealing that this is her new residence for the next year. Yoonha stares up in absolute awe at a towering, luxurious skyscraper against the night sky. The cat screams in disbelief that the whole building is hers, while Yoonha struggles to comprehend, noting the contract mentioned shelter but not something this extravagant. As they walk through the pristine lobby, Shin Si-woo explains her new living arrangements and suggests she familiarize herself with the route to the garage. Standing before an elevator, he reminds her about the external floor panel and muses that she should have practiced using it. He gestures to the door of Unit 1702 and asks if she would like to open it herself. The black-haired man confirms their agreement, stating a handshake wouldn't hurt, and refers to something as the key. The woman with a crown questions the black-haired man why he is suddenly grabbing her hand, demanding the key. The black-haired man appears flustered, noting that the entry system has changed significantly over the last 30 years. The woman with the crown, accompanied by a glowing cat, walks across a reflective floor towards the black-haired man. The woman expresses her admiration for the spacious and clean apartment, which she decorated to be as neat as possible. The woman explains she set up the lights to turn on automatically and offers a remote for the living room curtains. Control lights, control curtains. Does it have any other functions? The woman presents a note with instructions for the lighting system, including a warning not to break the remote. The black-haired man comments on the lighting guide, and the glowing cat playfully calls the woman sis and sparkly. The black-haired man smiles, telling the woman it's just in case she gets confused, while the cat calls him a roast. The woman calls his gesture very considerate, while the black-haired man offers a polite smile. The woman states it's basic courtesy and asks the black-haired man to come over as she wants to show him something. The black-haired man stands by the window, overlooking the city at night, holding something in his hand. The woman, with the glowing cat beside her, asks the black-haired man for his opinion on the night view. The black-haired man asks if the night view resembles the Seoul skyline she once saw. The black-haired man looks at the woman, remembering what she said in front of her mother's grave. The black-haired man explains the route to her mother's place and mentions he has narrowed down candidates for something. The woman asks the black-haired man if he has a lot of money, given his spending on her. The black-haired man confirms he has a lot of money and is willing to spend on her, implying she didn't know. The woman expresses surprise at how much money he has for a consignee. The woman states there's a lot they don't know about each other and that their contract isn't normal. The woman asks the black-haired man why he is doing all this for her, referring to him as a first-generation hunter. The black-haired man dismisses the first-gen hunter talk, and the woman demands to know the real reason. The woman asserts she has the right to ask why he is doing all this for her. The black-haired man implies that if she knew the reason, she might terminate their contract. The woman asks if he plans to terminate the contract if the reason turns out to be trivial. The black-haired man states he just wants to understand, standing with the woman in front of a city view. A dark, ominous text appears, warning the young master not to disappoint them as he looks determined. The man in the robe states, "You're our only hope," with glowing red hands behind him. The black-haired man smiles, admitting that it's scary as he stands with his arms crossed. The black-haired man explains he wants to quit being a hunter because monsters are terrifying and he can't stand the stench of blood. The black-haired man, the next guild leader of Wolf, admits that saying he wants to run away sounds ridiculous. The black-haired man declares he doesn't care about responsibility or honor, wanting only to run away with everything he has. The black-haired man tells the woman she can laugh if she wants to, accepting that his desire to quit is unusual. The woman states that living a life she doesn't want is worse than anything, as the black-haired man looks stunned. The black-haired man asks the woman if that's her answer, as she looks at him with a serious expression. The woman confirms her answer and asks the black-haired man if he has anything else to say. The black-haired man replies, "No," as he looks directly at the woman. The woman confirms the furniture explanation is done and tells the black-haired man to ask Manager Park if anything comes up. The black-haired man says he will be going now, as it's getting late, and the woman watches him leave. The black-haired man wonders why the woman isn't saying anything as she looks at him with an intense gaze. A close-up of the woman's face shows her serious, determined expression as she looks at her phone. The woman's phone displays an article about the Burning Flame Princess with various related article titles visible. A man in a robe, with sweat on his chest, stares intensely at the viewer. The woman, wearing a crown, is shown with a hand reaching towards her face. The blonde-haired woman informs the other person that tomorrow they have lunch with NYC council members and a meeting with the U.S. Hunter Association. The blonde-haired woman explains they will move to the European Association's NYC office to meet Mr. Anderson and reschedule the Mexico Association meeting. The blonde-haired woman states business trip preparations are complete and their scheduled briefing is done, offering to pick him up at 11 a.m. tomorrow. The blonde-haired woman looks surprised as the man says, "Huh?" and tells him to book a flight to Korea. The blonde-haired woman expresses concern about his schedule and asks if they should contact the guild first, considering public sentiment. A blonde-haired man with an open robe stands confidently in a high-rise apartment at dusk. A dark-haired man with a smirk wonders if he's still in a position to care what others think. A cheerful brown-haired man with a small ponytail gives a happy salute. The man, Park Jae-wee, excitedly explores a new furnished apartment, marveling at how lively it feels, and asking Yoonha if she likes it, to which she agrees. Yoonha admits she's never lived somewhere so nice, while the cat complains about the lack of a cat door, demanding better attention next time. Park Ji-wee laughs, admitting he's never lived so well either, and gushes that their CEO really cares about Hunter Lee. He internally reflects on the CEO's attention to detail, finding the process a hassle. In a flashback, Park Jae-wee questions the CEO's choice of a pricey studio near Seoul Forest, noting its prime location will likely double in value. The black-haired CEO overrules him, citing the need for a secure location with no direct transit from their own house. The CEO continues his strict requirements. The apartment must be close, have extensive security cameras, and be on a high floor. His final instruction is to ensure no one can spy on her from the outside, as a gleaming skyscraper is shown. Back in the present, Park Jae-wee drives them to the location, still amazed by the CEO's special treatment for Yoona. He wonders why the CEO went to such personal trouble, even house hunting himself, as a flashback shows the CEO inspecting properties. Yoona, finding the dedication a bit much, changes the subject, asking if their destination is a B-rank gate. Park Jae-wee enthusiastically confirms it's a B-rank gate that opened last minute inside a massive shopping mall with the country's biggest aquarium. He explains that since the gate opened, where people were lining up for tickets, their wolf guild received an urgent summons. Yoonha observes there must be many children there, and Jae-wee confirms it's a family destination, but assures her everyone was evacuated safely. Jae-wee asks Yoonha if she's curious how an F rank like her can enter a B rank gate, but the cat proudly boasts it's because she beat a level 30 boss. Jae-wee awkwardly explains that most people don't believe she completely killed the boss, enraging the cat, who demands to know what he means. He clarifies that the prevailing rumor is that she merely swooped in for the final blow after someone else did all the work. He explains her position is secured by the Wolf and Silver Moon guilds, but it's still unheard of for an F rank to enter a B rank gate, admitting he was against it, but the CEO insisted. The cat fumes at the nonsense. He nervously tries to backtrack, assuring her he doesn't doubt her skills. Stumbling over his words, he tries to explain his concerns delicately. He finally reveals that people think she pulled strings to get in, causing the cat to erupt in fury. Jae-wee warns her that entering a high-rank dungeon means other hunters may not welcome her. Splat! A glob of mud flies through the air. Yoonha effortlessly dodges the projectile. 3 hunters, one with brown hair, one pink, and one blonde, mock her, remarking on her quickness and her Black Flame Princess title, while the cat furiously tells the scumbags to stop. The brown-haired hunter taunts her for dodging, saying they're doing a favor for an F rank by wiping off mud, while the cat fires back insults. Yoonha coolly challenges them, asking what if she doesn't wipe it, as the blonde hunter asks if she'll just let it harden. She calmly turns the tables, suggesting they're the ones who need a wipe down, unless they want to fight while covered in hardened mud. Enraged, the 3 hunters yell at the arrogant F rank. The brown-haired hunter snarls that killing one monster doesn't make her special, boasting that they are far stronger than an F rank who pulled strings. He leans in, telling her to stay in a corner, clutching her dress and stop pretending she knows everything. Dismissing the confrontation as ridiculous, another hunter calls for everyone to get into battle formation. An alarm sounds as someone shouts that a monster has appeared. A system window announces a level 26 ferocious giant jellyfish extending its poison tentacles. Grr, another window appears, heralding a level 32 predatory great white shark. Tisk. The brown-haired hunter shoves past Yoonha, ordering her to stay quiet and not get in the way. The cat urges Yoonha to beat up the jerk and the monster to show off her skills, but she declines, stating she's there as a guild member, not a solo hunter. Yoonha calmly observes the hunters, realizing they're on a whole different level and deciding to sit back and watch, as the fight will be over quickly. Kiamong. The cat wails in frustration as Yoonha notes she'll get her share without doing anything, which is great for avoiding annoyances. Suddenly, King Godsu pops up beside her with a cheerful, "Hello," startling both Yoonha and the cat. Yoonha rattles off his entire extensive profile as a D-rank hunter and streamer, leaving him pleased but also slightly creeped out by the detail. She questions what a member of the Roar Guild is doing here, and he explains he got a spot from the Hwarang Guild, coyly asking why she thinks he came. He mockingly asks if she thinks a D-rank like him could stream a B-rank raid, pointing out that nobody is paying attention to them anyway. He leans in menacingly, touching her chin as the cat interposes itself between them. The cat yells at the pervert to get away, while Yoonha coldly informs him that any TV offers must go through her manager. King Godsu insists his gut tells him her confidence is real, and that, unlike others, he knows she didn't just get the last hit. He points directly at a shocked Yoonha, his expression deadly serious, and asks if she is an incarnation. A narrator explains that while hundreds may borrow power from a divine beast, only one can inherit its full power by being chosen. This chosen individual becomes an incarnation, receiving immense power in the process. A pair of hands cups a swirling, bright orb of cosmic energy, representing the power of an incarnation. King God-su explains his deduction, citing the example of Wang Wei, an S-rank hunter in China, an incarnation of the ox, who possesses monstrous strength. He speculates that if an incarnation's divine beast were to manifest, they could tear the ground apart, emphasizing the unimaginable power they gain, even as an F rank. The cat boasts about its own greatness, while King God-su, admitting he's a pervert but knowledgeable, speculates Yunha's divine beast must be a powerful type like a dragon or tiger, piquing his curiosity. Whoa! Clack. The cat, however, is furious at the insult and vows to teach him a lesson. A shout rings out, announcing the presence of civilians as King God-su and Yunha turn in shock. A hunter with a red cape points out that the radar didn't show any civilians, while another shouts that there are more deeper inside the gate. King God-su turns to Yunha, remarking that the radar is acting up again. Yunha watches the other hunters, questioning why they're not going to search for the remaining civilians. King God-su stammers that he's going, but internally wonders if he's the only one feeling that something is wrong. A hunter with glasses reports to his leader that they found the last civilian, confirming a total of 10 people. The leader, a C-rank hunter named Mobius, orders a halt to the dungeon raid and calls for a defensive formation. King God-su cheerfully tells Yunha they can relax now and praises Moebius' competence, but she cuts him off, stating she can hear a little kid crying. Yunha's eyes glow with a golden light as she focuses, a determined look on her face. A hunter asks about her eyes as King God-su nervously tells her to stop messing around. Moebius and King God-su both shout for her to stop as she walks away, but she doesn't seem to hear them. Moebius stops Yunha, reminding her there are civilians present and ordering her not to go off on her own. Yunha points, insisting she can hear a child crying, but Moebius looks annoyed while King God-su appears concerned. Moebius dismisses her claim, stating that as the highest-ranking hunter, if he can't sense anything, there's nothing there. He condescendingly tells Miss Princess of the Black Flames to sit down, but she's already dashed away. Moebius sighs in frustration, wondering what to do. Another hunter insists they must follow her to report back to the Wolf Guild, causing Moebius to complain about bringing a newbie. Sniff. Yunha reflects that even high rankers can be stubbornly wrong. She finds a small, terrified girl in a red dress clutching a doll, crying in a dark corner. Chuckle. Schween. Yunha turns to see the other hunters have finally caught up to her. Moebius and another hunter stare in disbelief, shocked that there actually is a child there. Sob. Yunha leans toward the sobbing girl, her face masked, and gently asks if she is okay. Wah! The girl screams, crying that a ghost is smiling at her, as the cat observes that she's crying. The girl cries for her mommy as Yunha, flustered, tries to help the dirty child up while Moebius approaches. Moebius takes over, kindly asking the girl her name. She replies that it's Yeri, and he asks what her mom was wearing. Yuri says her mom wore a red dress and black shoes, and Yunha notes that Yuri's red dress must be a matching outfit. Moebius smiles reassuringly, promising to find Yuri's mom and telling her to go get her scrapes treated. Yuri beams through her tears, thanking the mister for his help. Moebius orders a hunter to take the child to the main camp for treatment, while they begin the search, telling the others to maintain formation. The hunter agrees and wishes him luck. The hunters wave goodbye as the girl Yeri is carried to safety. The cat grumbles that Moebius is taking all the credit for finding the child, but Yunha, though slightly disappointed, says finding her is all that matters, and decides they should rest. Another hunter asks Moebius about the search party for the mother, and he hesitates. The hunter from the previous scene smiles thinly, explaining that a sudden monster horde forced them to stop the search, and no trace of the missing person was found. Moebius smirks, confirming the lie with a simple, right? A purple-haired woman with glowing eyes playfully threatens the reader to visit a website. In a flashback, a younger, weary-looking Yunha stands with her hands behind her back in military fatigues. A close-up shows the younger, battle-scarred Yunha firmly stating, "That's not it." An instructor praises her for killing more monsters than any other trainee, but questions if she understands why she was summoned. He asks trainee Cha Eunha the objective of the training, and she replies it was to exterminate monsters during an evacuation simulation. Wrong, the instructor declares, accusing her of unnecessary cruelty for stomping on and mangling a monster's corpse beyond recognition. He orders her to recite the hunter's code of conduct, and she begins, listing the rules about controlling one's abilities and protecting people with honor. The instructor points out that the code is to kill monsters, not annihilate them, and asks her why she thinks that is. He explains that protecting people and following rules are far more important than simply killing monsters. The instructor reveals a personal tragedy, stating that everyone there has lost family, including his own daughter. A memory shows another trainee screaming at Yoonha for taking things too far with a dead monster, while Yoonha coldly states she understands their hatred. The other trainee yells that they all lost their families, but killing monsters won't bring anyone back, as Yoonha stands silently amidst the carnage. The instructor asks a somber, silent Yoonha if she understands his lesson. He holds out a small tube of ointment to her. He explains that the monsters she can't kill are far outnumbered by the people she will save. The instructor gently applies the ointment to a scratch on Yoonha's face, hoping his words bring her some comfort. Back in the present, Moebius reports they're near the gate's core, and it's too risky to keep searching based only on the kid's word. A hunter with gray hair adds that the payout is the same for 9 or 10 people, shocking his green-haired companion. The green-haired hunter argues they can't be sure how many civilians are here since the radar failed, questioning the risk of getting someone from the search party killed. Moebius sits down, challenging the hunter by asking if he can take responsibility for that outcome. The green-haired hunter and the gray-haired hunter exchange a conflicted and troubled look. Moebius smirks, saying he understands and accepts the responsibility as leader, conceding that the other hunter isn't wrong. Ha ha ha, Moebius laughs, telling his team to rest before heading back and callously remarking that, while he feels bad for the kid, this is just how things are for adults. As the gray-haired hunter watches, the green-haired hunter gets up, claiming he'll take a quick look around, since there's a difference between looking and not looking. The green-haired hunter mutters that he just wants to check so he can tell the kid her mom's not here, then jumps in fright as Yoonha appears behind him. Holy crap. He yells that she scared him and asks why she's still here. The green-haired hunter asks what she's doing, reminding her the leader ordered them to rest. He watches in shock as Yoonha walks away, shouting that she's going in the wrong direction from the main team. Annoyed, he yells after Princess, questioning if she can even hear him. The green-haired hunter grabs Yoonha's arm, but she is shrouded in a dark aura and declares her intent to continue the search. Yoonha explains that since the area up to the core was searched, she will now check deeper inside. Moebius scoffs, asking what an F-rank can do alone, but Yoonha retorts that she heard him, and that's exactly why she's going. The green-haired hunter calls her crazy, stating that there are 2 main reasons a hunter dies in a dungeon. Yoonha holds up a finger, listing the first reason as an unexpected accident. She then states the second is foolishly entering a dungeon above their level, staring at the others as she says she sees. Moebius warns that she's about to fall into both categories, but Yoonha defiantly challenges him with a cold, "So what?" Moebius, now looking serious, asks if she's truly committed to searching alone. The green-haired hunter furiously accuses her of disobeying the leader's order, but Moebius calmly tells him to let her go. Moebius gives Yoonha an ultimatum: bring back a scrap of the mother's red dress, or he'll hold the Wolf Guild responsible. He questions her confidence, pointing out that if she knew where the mother was, she would have gone immediately after finding the child. The green-haired hunter interjects, refusing to let a support hunter go rogue and warning her of the damage it would do to the Wolf Guild. Moebius concedes, telling her to find something, even if it's just a body or a piece of cloth. Yoonha and the concerned green-haired hunter share a tense, silent moment. What? The green-haired hunter snaps, losing his patience and yelling at her for not understanding his warnings. Moebius watches her depart, telling her to stay put to avoid injury, and wondering why she's ignoring her senior. The green-haired hunter grabs her shoulder, demanding her training class number and boasting that he's from the 123rd class. With a confident smirk, Yoonha calmly puts her hand over his. She leans in close to the suddenly terrified hunter, quietly asking, "Me?" She reveals she's from the first, leaving him speechless with shock. Gasp, panting, a woman frantically searches in the darkness, calling out for someone. Splish, the woman's heel steps into a shallow pool of water. A woman in a red coat frantically calls for Yeri, using her phone's light to guide her daughter. Ack. While calling out for Yeri, the woman trips and falls hard, her phone skittering across the wet ground. She panics, realizing her phone screen might be broken and the battery is low as she wonders how much time has passed. Looking at a photo of a smiling Yeri on her phone, the mother tearfully calls out for her baby, her face smudged with dirt and tears. The mother looks on with desperate hope. She continues searching, but finds no trace, beginning to fear that Yeri is already gone. In a flashback, the mother apologizes to Yeri for her birthday, saying they wouldn't be in this mess if they had gone to the musical she wanted. A smiling Yeri reassures her mother, saying she was happy just to be with her, and asking if they can see the musical after the hunters rescue them. The mother smiles and agrees, then spots something horrifying behind them and screams for everyone to get back. A massive wave crashes down, and the mother cries, "No!" as she desperately holds onto Yeri before they are both engulfed. As they are dragged apart by the torrent, their hands tragically slip from each other's grasp. In the churning depths, the mother cries out for Yeri as her daughter's hand slips away. Dragged into the abyss, a terrified Yeri calls out for her mom one last time. Back in the present, the mother's face is a mask of shock and grim resolve. She steels herself, thinking that she's a mother and can't give up on her child, vowing to keep her head straight. Her focus is shattered by a sudden, sinister presence as her phone's light illuminates the encroaching darkness. A massive, monstrous eye reflects in her own, and she stares in silent, paralyzing terror. "Ah," she gasps, her phone revealing the horrifying form of a creature lurking just before her. A blood-curdling scream echoes through the dark space. Crash! Her phone clatters to the ground, its screen flaring with a brilliant final light. A gigantic, one-eyed monster lunges from the shadows with blinding speed. Gasp! A massive, unblinking eyeball fills her vision, paralyzing her with fear. Kya! The mother screams, scrambling backward on the wet ground in absolute terror. Eek. She flinches as a hand suddenly appears before her, reaching out from the gloom. A figure emerges from the shadows, revealing a faint, knowing smile. Surrounded by a malevolent purple aura, Yunha holds up the glowing phone, her own eyes blazing with yellow light. As the mother screams in terror from the ground, Yunha calmly asks if she's okay. Yunha stands over the fallen woman amidst the swirling purple energy, repeating her question. The cat realizes the woman in the red dress must be the little girl's mother. Ah! The mother looks up in shock, an overturned wheelchair visible in the background. The mother screams about a monster smiling at her, as the cat dryly notes her unique talent for quiet screaming. Resigned to her fate, the mother tearfully apologizes to Yeri, telling her to live on as she closes her eyes. Huh? The mother opens her eyes in confusion as Yunha reassures her, telling her not to be afraid. Yunha stands protectively before the mother, promising it will be over soon as multiple eyeball monsters descend. Kaya. A massive blast of dark energy erupts from Yunha, annihilating the monsters, as the mother screams behind her. As the mother huddles in fear, a calm voice tells her that she can open her eyes now. The ethereal monsters dissipate into nothingness under the force of Yunha's power. The mother watches in stunned silence as a hand reaches out, offering her the very thing she lost. Yunha returns the cracked, bloody phone to its owner. The mother stammers at the sight of the blood, and Yunha apologizes for the mess as the cat laments the state of the phone. Yunha offers to wipe the phone clean, but the mother, still in shock, tells her it's okay. Overwhelmed with joy, the mother spots her daughter and runs toward her with open arms, crying out Yeri's name. Mumi Tilde, Yeri cries, reaching out for her mother from the arms of the two hunters. As mother and daughter embrace, the cat grumbles that Yunha, the true savior, deserves a proper thank you. The green-haired hunter storms up to Yunha, furiously demanding to know where she's been and how worried they were. A blonde-haired hunter looks at Yunha with concern, explaining that she was the only one missing. Seeing the blood on her face, the blonde-haired hunter calls out, Yura, then panics, asking how she got hurt, while the cat complains about his interference. He insists Yuna needs immediate medical attention for her injuries, but she seems unconcerned. The mother, holding a beaming Yeri, gratefully thanks the hunter for saving both of them. Smiling through her relief, the mother asks for her savior's name. Yunha coldly interjects, questioning who really saved whom. She coolly reveals that her official title is the Burning Flame Princess. In a flashback, a man in a suit offers a contract to a young Lee Yora, promising wealth and the chance to achieve her dreams if she signs on as a hunter. A memory of her mother's gentle face appears, promising they would figure out her future together. Her mother's voice echoes, hoping to discover the life Yuna truly wants to live. A dark thought of vengeance for her mother clashes with the instructor's lesson about the importance of saving lives. The memory of a happy, reunited Yeri and her mother stands in stark contrast to Yunha's own past. In the present, Yunha begins to define herself on her own terms. She concludes her thought with a simple declaration. She is just one of the hunters. A faint, determined smile plays on her lips as she accepts her role. From a distance, Moebius watches as the other hunters tend to the reunited mother and child. Moebius turns to the green-haired hunter, asking if he's worried Yunha will talk about what happened earlier. Moebius reassures the anxious hunter, explaining that exposing them would only hurt her, as acting alone is a breach of contract. A gray-haired hunter agrees with their leader, advising they just wait for reinforcements, but the green-haired hunter admits something else is stuck in his head. When asked what Yunha said, the green-haired hunter nervously waves it off as unimportant nonsense. Moebius presses, noting he's still thinking about it, and the green-haired hunter nervously recounts Yunha's shocking claim about her training class. A flash of energy illuminates Moebius' face as he processes the incredible implication of her words. Smack. The gray-haired hunter dismisses the green-haired hunter's fears, laughing that no first-class graduate could possibly survive to the present day. The gray-haired hunter concludes that either the woman is insane or, impossibly, a dead person has returned to life. Moebius quiets him, admitting that for a moment he felt the immense pressure from Yunha and believed she was the real deal. Kya. Elsewhere, Yuna's manager, a man with brown hair, screams in sheer terror. He frantically asks Yunha how she got covered in blood, but she calmly insists it's not serious, while the cat enjoys the overreaction. As Yuna suggests they go home, her manager panics, yelling that her bleeding injuries are the immediate problem. Yunha holds up her bloody hand, trying to reassure him that it's only a minor injury. Her frantic manager retorts that even a minor injury is still an injury that needs attention. With the glowing cat beside her, Yunha looks on with a steady, unconcerned expression. A memory surfaces of a younger Yunha telling her worried mother that she simply slipped and cut her hand by accident. A blurry voice from the past insists on treating the bleeding hand with medicine and a bandage. Sigh. Back in the present, her manager calms down, noting her smile means it's not serious but still insisting she needs treatment. He tells her to get in the car while he finds the first aid kit, as the cat cheekily rates his fussing as S-grade. The cat thinks his concerned nagging is better than rude people, and Yunha quietly agrees. In an office, a subordinate is instructed to report everything if anything happens to the senior, leaving him with a worried expression. He checks a text from CEO Shin, who confirms an instruction to take care of something related to Myongji. A close-up reveals the subordinate's deep concern over the vague and ominous order. Yuna's manager rummages through the trunk of their car, searching for the first aid kit. As Yunha tells him to just go home if he can't find it, he frantically shouts that he's found the kit. The story is to be continued, with credits for the scanlation team and information on joining them. An overhead view of a city highway reveals that a major disaster was narrowly averted. A news broadcast reports that a gate suddenly appeared at the Moon Knight Field shopping complex in Goyang City. A man in a suit reflects on how the family-oriented location was even more crowded than usual. The news specifies that a suspected B-rank gate appeared at the ticket booth for Moon Knight Land, endangering a huge line of people. At a briefing, an official explains the growing problem of unstable gates, crediting the rapid response of hunters for preventing a catastrophe. Yeri's mother gives a tearful press conference, thanking the Princess of Black Flames for saving both her and Yeri. The incident sparks a scandal, with online comments questioning the Wolf Guild's decision to send an F-rank into a B-rank gate. Public outcry continues online as people mock the Wolf Guild, call Yunha a gimmick, and question why the guild remains silent amidst the controversy. A black-haired man with blue eyes stares intently at his laptop, watching the events unfold. He clicks his mouse, thinking to himself that everything is proceeding exactly according to his plan. He muses that with all the public heat focused on his senior, any talk of bakerang has conveniently vanished. Believing everything is perfect, he looks at a video titled, "Why Does Everyone Hate the Princess of Black Flames?" Despite his satisfaction, he feels a nagging anxiety, even as he reminds himself their deal is none of his business. He reviews texts from manager Park Jae-hui, who first reported dropping Hunter Ayura off, and later messaged that she came out injured and covered in blood. Hesitantly, the black-haired man dials the number saved in his phone as Ayura's son Bae-nim. On the call, he identifies himself and explains he's calling to check on her after hearing she was hurt. Crunch! He confirms she's hurt, but she dismisses it as not even needing a band-aid, though he insists she get it checked. Crunch! Hearing her eating, he asks if it's a bad time, but she bluntly tells him to just say what he wants to say. She explains she is just watching YouTube and eating chips, prompting him to ask what she is watching. Her screen shows a 90s pop hit special featuring old-school artists Lee Ji-younghwa and Dadabo. Stunned, he repeats a 90s pop special and asks if it's good. She replies that it's decent. He asks if she's alone, and she hesitates for a moment before confirming that she is. As he opens his door, the black-haired man is stopped by a subordinate who greets him as Young Master. The black-haired man's subordinate informs him the car is ready, but is brushed off with a curt, "I'm just stepping out for a minute." As the young master heads for the door, his subordinate panics, frantically asking where he's going. The subordinate yells after him, desperately reminding him of his imminent hospital appointment. Pleading, the subordinate reminds the young master that his sick father is waiting, but is again told he's just stepping out for a while. His subordinate begs him to reconsider, questioning what could be more important than his father's health, as the young master's hand clenches in frustration. With a fierce glare, the young master orders his subordinate out of the way, declaring that this is more important. The scene shifts to Yunha's apartment, where the black-haired man remarks that he didn't expect her to be a 90s pop fan, while the cat internally scoffs at the genre's tackiness. Yunha notes how fast he arrived, as the flustered man runs a hand through his hair, asking if it's raining. He observes that she doesn't look badly hurt, and Yunha simply replies, "Told you," as the cat complains about the lack of faith in her skills. Yunha invites him in, offering a towel and a beer, which he politely declines. She asks for help hooking up the TV, explaining she accidentally turned it off trying to record the show for him. He agrees to help despite not being a fan. As he sits down at her laptop, he offers to put on the last video she watched, and she asks him to start it from the beginning. He agrees to watch it with her, but is stunned to see her viewing history is filled with videos about people hating the Princess of Black Flames. Offering him snacks, Yunha asks what's wrong, prompting him to confront her about watching all the hate videos. Dodging the question, Yunha pivots, asking him what exactly a concept hunter is. He admits that he looked up the term out of curiosity, but couldn't make sense of the explanations he found online. As he explains it was a term he kept seeing, he suddenly bows his head and apologizes to her. He blames himself for all the hate she's receiving, apologizing profusely and acknowledging the importance of a hunter's reputation. In a sorrowful monologue, he confesses to using her as a shield, a necessary price for their deal from the very beginning. He laments letting them destroy the reputation of a hero for his own selfish cowardice, but Yunha interrupts, telling him to lift his head. She gently raises his chin, forcing him to meet her gaze as he looks up with a shocked, vulnerable expression. He averts his eyes slightly, his expression somber as her hand remains on his chin. Yunha dismisses his concerns about reputation and public image, stating she knows nothing about such things. With unwavering conviction, she declares the only thing that matters is that he won't break his contract with her. The black-haired man's gaze returns to hers, his expression now serious and focused. Leaning closer, she tells him he's the only one she can count on, dismissing online trolls as irrelevant nobodies who have nothing to do with their contract. She firmly states that unless he's broken their deal, he has no reason to apologize or hang his head in shame. Demanding action over apologies, she asks for their next move, reminding him that giving direction is his job now. A spark of determination returns to his eyes as he collects himself and agrees with her. Though he agrees, he can't shake the feeling that something is still deeply wrong as rain streaks down the window of the high-rise.